Zakir is like, छोड़ दो टाइम स्क्वायर, इट्स फाइन. आई एम लाइक अभी ये करना पड़ेगा. दिस इज वेयर पीपल हैव टोल्ड मी 18 months, $500,000, impossible, talk to the mayor, and it happened. We had some 6,000-7,000 people at Times Square. To watch Coldplay is maybe शायद इस जिंदगी में आप देख पाओ. They had international and Indian teams running this on a simulation for weeks and months.
Crazy.
Suddenly these two cops jump up and they're like, stand where you are, don't move. And I'm like, whoa, I just need to know where the envelope is. He's like, don't move. Now I'm irritated. I'm like, guys, तुम्हारा काम है help करना. I just want to know where the station is. I'm lost. By then Ankur from behind, he pats my back. He's like, Rishabh, चल. I'm like, अरे रुक ना. Direction ही तो मांग रहा हूँ. And he's like, Rishabh, चल. And I'm like, what? And then I look, and that guy had his hand on the gun.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Vaibhav Munjal podcast. सबसे पहले तो ये चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लो भाई. इतना बिल्ड कर रहे हैं हमारे इस नए चैनल को, इतनी सारी चीजें डाल रहे हैं. एवरी वीक वी आर ट्राइंग टू रिलीज वन एपिसोड, अ कंसिस्टेंसी जो चलचित्र पे भी नहीं कर पा रहे हैं. सो प्लीज सब्सक्राइब टू इट. टुडे आई वांट टू शो यू गाइस अनदर वेरी कूल एपिसोड with Mr. Rishabh Nahar. Rishabh Nahar is one of the pioneers of artist management in India, and he has played a significant role in building the live entertainment space for Indian comedians. He started with OML, where he built a lot of cool IPs, worked with a lot of great comedians, and currently he is the founder of a new venture जिसका नाम है Beacon Live with Ankur Kaushik. He has also co-produced Zakir Khan के बहुत सारे shows at international venues like Madison Square Garden Arena in New York and Royal Albert Hall in London. मैंने इनसे economics समझी of like talent management, doing live shows, और बहुत सारी इन्होंने interesting stories भी बताई है. So let's jump right into the episode with Rishabh Nahar. Hi Rishabh, how are you? Welcome to Vaibhav Munjal podcast.
Thank you for having me.
मैंने आपको फर्स्ट टाइम कब इनवाइट किया था? किसकी पार्टी थी? कहाँ किया था? आई थिंक हम पार्टी टू पार्टी मिलते हैं.
Most people I think पार्टी टू पार्टी ही मिलते हैं, majority. I think हम मिले थे 1-1.5 साल पहले शायद. समय का बर्थडे था. हाँ, समय का बर्थडे था हैबिटेट पे.
Oh yes, that one.
वहाँ मिले थे and I think Suhani introduced us. And I think Suhani had told you that at some point you should have me on the podcast. I think वहाँ से हमारी conversation चालू हुई थी. You, me and somebody else. Ayush I think. And I think हाँ वैसे conversation हमारी चालू.
And I think अभी last year also कुल्लू के birthday पे you were there, right? इतने सारे yeah. A lot of agency people were there. So I remember. So अभी like what are you up to Rishabh? Like जो हमारी audience है, आप अपने style में अपना introduction दीजिए.
So my name is Rishabh. I have been doing this for the last 13 years now. I started off working in the live events artist management space back in 2012 or 2013. It's a very funny and filmy story of sorts where Enrique was performing in Pune. I was born brought up in Pune. So Enrique was performing in Pune in 2012. And I didn't have enough money to buy the VIP tickets because I only wanted to be in the VIP section because koi dekh lega, so I need to be in a good place, right? So obviously didn't have money, and at that time I didn't want to ask parents, etc. So one of my friend was a volunteer at OML, and OML was the company that was producing Enrique's concert. So this friend of mine, I tell him, I want to come and watch the concert, but I don't want to work. Obviously, can you figure out a way how you can get me in as a volunteer? He said, I'll put you in the VIP area. That's the least amount of problems there. Stand in one corner, don't talk to anybody, just keep quiet, watch the concert, go back home. I was like, great. I showed up at like 12:31 at the venue and I'm waiting. And finally he's like, okay, cool, you've been approved, come. So the concert starts and I'm there in one corner doing nothing, just whiling time away. I don't know why I went also, I just wanted to be there. It was, I think, one of my first instances of FOMO in my life. So I'm like, cool. I'm standing in this one corner and I realized that there were a lot of these young girls, young kids who, had been standing there right in front of the general and VIP का जो barricade होता है. तो उस बैरिकेड के पीछे जनरल सेक्शन में लॉट ऑफ दीज यंग किड्स वर स्टैंडिंग देयर सिंस 3-4 in the afternoon and it's peak hot, right? And it's Pune. And they're standing with their parents, folks, etc. And they've been there and they don't want to move from there because if they, go to take a loo break or try to get water, they'll lose their place. तो बेचारे खड़े हैं वहाँ पे and then some of them are getting cranky after 4-5 hours. So at like 8:30 times, I'm like, these guys have been waiting here with, no water, nothing. At least let me get them water, तो वहाँ पे पानी का केस पड़ा था, which at every event, there are some strategic places where you keep water, which was meant for the crew or whatever. So I just picked up a couple of bottles of water, these tiny 10 rupee bottles, and I started opening them and I started passing it around. So suddenly people are like, water, 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 water. So suddenly I'm like, oh, maybe that's why you're not supposed to do this, because people start panicking around you, dhakkam dhukki chalu ho jata hai. But I had enough water, so jitna ho saka, I was telling people, please share, etc. And young kid is very sweet kind, so they were like, great. So that happened, and then after some time people started pushing all the way from the back to the front. So वो barricade थोड़ा हिलना चालू हो गया, and natural to happen. Not much you can do about it. There were a bunch of bouncers around because it was also the VIP and general section area. So there were a lot of bouncers. There was also a lot of cops there. And bouncer trying to hold and figure out what to do, right? So then I speak to a couple of them and I'm like, you know what? There were a couple of stones. So I'm like, just kick the stone inside the barricade. And there were some sticks. So I'm like, push it inside. Just basic physics and science, right? And I was like, maybe it'll reduce the pressure on the barricades being pushed, and then you guys just push against it, sit on it, all of that stuff. And cops were very kind. They all helped, etc. And couple of the parents, they were like, thank you for the water, really appreciate it. And I was just like, it felt nice. After the show, I got called by someone at OML and they're like, who are you? And तुमने किसको पूछ के ये किया? Who asked you to give out the water? So I'm like, I screwed up. I'm like, I'm sorry, whatever the cost of the water is, I'll pay for it. Immediately my instinct is possibly I gave it away for free, Telling, no. I just want to understand your rationale behind doing it. I explained the rationale and they're like, it was a very good thing that you did. From an experience point of view, people like doing these things. And it was the first time in my life that some external person outside of my family has appreciated me.
And how old were you at this time?
Possibly 18, 19, I think.
Crazy.
2012. So yeah, like 18-ish. So I got validation, external validation, right? And for a guy, validation is great. I mean, for everyone is great, but for someone who's a little more stoic like me, validation works. So I'm like, dude, this pat on the back felt really nice. So I'm like, great, okay, thank you. And then a couple of weeks later, they called me saying that we're doing interviews for interns in our program. It used to be called the Loudest Crew. Do you want to intern with us? I'm like, yeah, सामने से चल के आ रहे लोग, why not? And this is me when I'm doing BBA at MIT in Pune, right? So I have 3 years to kill. It's not like I was going to be great at studies, etc. So I was like, let's just do this. कुछ नहीं तो I'll learn something. I'll figure out if this is something that I want to do in my life or not. So I started working and I started interning in this whole questionnaire, 1 hour interview. So in my head also, for an intern, an hour interview with someone, top at OML is a big deal still. So I'm like, great. And then I'm checking my phone every day, email, and suddenly I get an email saying, you're approved, you're a part of this Loudest Crew. So the first year is just me trying to figure out everything that I can do, which is, I did everything from 2013 to 15. I did everything from sticking posters on bus stops to different places in colleges, to going to chai walas and telling them we'll give you free NH7 branded cups. You keep these here, आपका महीने का 5-6 हज़ार रुपये बच जाएगा, and we'll give you like 8-10,000 quantities of these, and हमारा marketing हो जाएगा, आपका cost बच जाएगा. For a tea stall vendor, it's great, right? You're saving that kind of money. We went to cafe, I told them we'll give you bigger glasses for cold coffee. So we started doing that. I used to frisk people at venues for all OML shows that used to happen. I used to sell tickets for the shows. I used to send WhatsApp forwards to people. I went to a bunch of colleges in Pune. It's about 30-35, and we got brand ambassadors there saying, you know your college, so put posters in your college, talk to your administration. We'll figure out discounts, or we'll figure out some comp tickets for you, or artist merchandise we'll give you, or backstage meet and greet, whatever whoever wants, right? So we started building brand ambassadorships. It was what Loudest Crew was anyway supposed to do. So I did all of these things, right? Frisking people, scanning tickets, selling tickets, merchandising, marketing, all of that. So I think my first year and a half went just in that, trying to do everything that I could. I think after a point in, I would say about mid 2014-ish, OML stopped sending its people to Pune. So Ritviz, AIB, Nuclear, Kanan, Kenny, Biswa, Ankur and the Galat family, name anybody who you can think of who OML used to rep and produce shows for, they would all come to Pune at High Spirits and multiple places to perform, right? Managers used to travel with them. There would be a production team that would travel. OML stopped sending everybody because obviously it's also a cost to the P&L, right? So they were like, you know what you're doing. So you are our one-stop shop for everything. So assume AIB is performing in Pune. From their marketing to selling tickets on the Insider app, to reconcile money, on-ground marketing, college activation, making sure there's merchandising, security, production, tech, sound check, artist hospitality, and then sending the artist back home. Everything I started taking care of. So post 2014, they stopped sending anyone to Pune. I used to do everything, and I think by 2014 same time, they made me the head of their volunteer team, which even now sounds cool, but back then was a huge deal for me. Heading a group of 20 kids from different colleges, and sort of being that person for a company was a huge deal. And then I started running everything NH7 for Pune in terms of artist hospitality. So I became their head of F&B hospitality as well. So when you had Megadeth or an AR Rahman or Steve Y or all of your big international names, or even any headliner that came to NH7, I used to lead all of their hospitality, which means their their food riders, allergies. There was one international band, duo band, who said that right after the show, we want an ice bucket of water, a room temperature water, and a hot bucket of water, but it has to be at a specific temperature. So I had to, with a thermometer, check.
Why?
They play the guitar for 2 hours, right? So they need to then soak their hands in different temperatures to feel better, get that stress out.
Is it a normal thing?
It's quite a natural thing. Even at that point, I also feel like these things are a little crazy, but as I grew in the business and I learned more and matured enough, I realized that these are very natural things. Like some of the things, like a lot of people would say, we want M&Ms but only green color, for example, or whatever color.
What are you saying?
Yeah, and I used to feel these are frivolous. But again, now with Zakir and with a lot of our international shows at large scale venues, and because now I have access to a lot of A+ global talents across music, sports, comedy, and I talk to their agents, I realize that this is more of a mental sort of a tactic. It's a strategy. Nobody actually wants to eat it. It's just that they want to make sure that the promoter is keeping an eye out on things. Like it's that micro कि अगर मैंने बोला है मुझे green M&M चाहिए, मतलब वो सोच के करेगा हर चीज, वो ऐसा फ्रिवोलसली नहीं करेगा कि बस रख दिया मैंने कोई चीज.
So हमें लग सकता है कि as a manager or like as a person who has to take care of this from the event side कि they are being in the initial stage कि लोग यार ये क्या बात है. But it's actually a tactic. They are basically vetting you in a way.
Yeah, it's actually a strategy just to make sure how seriously you're taking things. And because if I'm already telling you that these 10 things are a no-go or I want in a very specific way, you're on your toe. Also because international, in general, artists also who are of a certain caliber and category, they want things to be a certain way, right? Because it's not like they're chilling at home. They're non-stop touring, working. So you want to be in a very familiar sort of environment, and you want to make sure things are as perfect as possible.
Yeah.
You don't want कि वो last minute आप back and forth करो, भागम दौड़ी करो कि ये पानी मांगा था ये नहीं मिला. Again, I used to feel like these are frivolous, but now when I go on tour with Zakir or when I've been at shows with your Russell Peters or a bunch of other folks, when I've seen them perform, you realize how important these things are. Like one of the things that for me is I need cold water in my green room when I am at shows, right? Or I need a snack or a chocolate when right in the morning when I'm in the green room, because we go in at 6 a.m. Most likely I'm going to skip breakfast, right? So I need that sugar rush in the morning. अब मैं 6 बजे लंदन में या न्यूयॉर्क में कहाँ खुद घूम के लिए करूँ, right? So these are those basic things that actually set you up for your entire day. It seems frivolous, it seems unimportant, but it just helps you, पूरे दिन को बांध देता है एक साथ. So I used to do all of that, and then I became head of volunteer, head of this hospitality bit, and then my final internship year was I think 2015 when AR Rahman performed headlined NH7, and at that time we sold our highest number of tickets ever on ground. This is because by then Insider.in, which then got acquired by Paytm and now is a part of District. Insider was founded at OML, and I was one of the people who was, I think, like first 10 in the team, and one of the few BD people in Pune trying to help scale the business. At that time, Insider had launched a offline payment gateway, which meant that team members like me could actually go and sell a ticket to someone physically and email them the ticket on the spot and collect money from them, right? And we realized early on, or rather the marketing teams, their strategy teams at NH7 realized early on that students don't always have 2,000-3,000 rupees at their disposal. I'm talking about 2014-15, right? It's not like you had just 3,000 rupees lying around to buy a ticket. That time, digital payments weren't a very commonly used thing, right? So if you needed money, you had to ask your parents to send it to you. So you can't make an online transaction because your parents would know you bought a ticket to a music festival, which they would not most likely allow kids to do. So they would, however, figure out their money, and now they have the cash. How do you transact, right? So then Inside built that app where we could physically go issue tickets, collect the money, and then deposit in the bank. Very clean, straight process. The least hassle for the students, and that we sold the highest number of tickets offline. I think we sold some 2,500-3,000 tickets, which even in today's day and time, selling 3,000 tickets offline is a huge number in a certain city, right? So then that happened, and then things were going great. And I think in the middle, one of the founders at OML told me, "Why don't you quit studying and just come to OML?" And that conversation sort of triggered something in my head, and I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do. Because at NH7 and OML and everything that I was doing, every day was a validation for me. Every day I kept, again, think of it as a 19, 20-year-old who is sitting and chilling with a Kanan, Kenny, Biswa, Tanmay, Rohan Joshi, Nuclear, Ritviz, someone who's chilling and has access to these people, is helping build their shows, market their shows. You become like a cool kid in your group in Pune, etc. Right? So that sort of gave me a lot of opportunities, but also a lot of confidence. And in my time, like, okay, this is what I want to do in my life. So I took the founder up on his offer, and I finished my BBA. I think I skipped 2 of my final exams because I had to be at some show. I had to run a show.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, in my head at that point, education didn't mean anything. Real life experiences was everything. Because I've also seen my father run a factory, and I've seen that anything that gives you on ground experience in the real world, that for me at least trumps book knowledge. Obviously, knowledge or education has its own importance, but for me, grunt work has always had more importance, right? It's one of those things that if I know everything from A to Z that goes behind an event, nobody can screw around with me. If someone says ki ye aisa nahi hota, I know that that's the wrong answer, right? And that solves a lot of problems. So in my time, like, the exams don't really matter. So I left both my exams and I went to Bombay. I moved and I started working at OML. And then I think 2 years after fully being employed at OML, 2018 or something is when I went back to give my exams, my BBA exam, because that was the last year that I could attempt. After that, I wouldn't have got the degree. And I realized if I have to go to the US, etc., if I need a visa, I need some sort of education qualification to make sure that I get my visas easily, right? So for that reason, I went back. And Kanan Gill and Biswa helped me study through my exams, because I used to manage them back in the day.
Wow.
It was, I think, Management Information Systems and one more exam. So they highlighted the things that I should learn, that are the most important answers I need to learn. वो रट्टा मार के मैं चला गया. I scored, I think, 40, 50-ish something. And I cleared my BBA. And then I've been at OML since then. And touchwood for me, I think I've been at the right place at the right time. And I would say 90% of everything I've done is just pure luck, because I feel like everyone does a lot of hard work, but I've just had a lot of luck on my side. And every year, my career and all opportunities around me has just compounded. And it has just happened to me. It has either been that people around me were lazy, or people weren't able to strategically think about how to do this or how not to do it. I was just at the right place at the right time. The market was just started to boom them. I don't know. It could be any of these reasons, but for some reason, OML was always ahead of the curve. And with OML in comedy, I was always ahead of the curve for whatever reason, right? And it sort of put me in the driving seat, and it helped sort of contribute to everything that I've done.
But you said since then you have been at OML. Like, are you currently at OML?
No, I'm not. OML has been my only job ever. I started off at OML in 2012, and I moved on from OML in 2025 December. So it's been 13 years I've been with OML. Always been my home, always will be. That's where I've sort of learned everything I've done. OML had built everything I've ever done. But now I've started my own company. It's called Beacon Life. It's me and my co-founder Ankur Kaushik, who also used to work at OML. So both of us together have started this company.
Nice. तो अब मैं आपसे बहुत सारी चीज़ें समझना चाहता हूँ. Thanks for the introduction. But I'm very fascinated by creator economy in general. Like comedians के world में क्या हो रहा है, events के world में क्या हो रहा है, international events के world में क्या हो रहा है. I want to go back to particularly that bit where you were talking about these like idiosyncrasies जो आप बता रहे हो ना, जो छोटी छोटी चीज़ें जो कहते हैं हमें ये चाहिए ये नहीं चाहिए. I'm still thinking about the green M&M वाला जो बंदा था, बट मेरे को ये चीज़ें बताइए कि बेसिक क्या चाहिए होता है and what's the जो सबसे मैड आपने आज तक चीज़ सुनी हो कि okay I get it, it's a tactic but don't go till there कि भाई मेरे से ये मांगा हुआ है आर्टिस्ट ने.
यार देखो मेरे हिसाब से there's two things, right? And there are two types of artists. One is who he or she, whatever, they actually want something, right? And it is important to the show or the tour, right? And you can understand that, okay, sure, this makes sense. There's a reason behind it, और ये करना ही पड़ेगा. No matter how stupid or difficult or unachievable it is, ये करना है क्योंकि इसका results are A, B, C, D, E, and you know it's a domino effect. It will help. And there are some artists who just ask you and make you do things that don't make sense, right? For example, from my point of view, right, I must have produced at least 8,000-10,000 shows till today.
Wow.
Now if I'm working with say an ex-artist who has possibly done 50, 60, 70 shows in their life, right, or 100 shows in their life. Now I come with an experience of 8 to 10,000 shows across categories, across the world, across different scalability, pricing, P&L. So I'm sitting on real-time information and data. Now this ex-artist who says, I will only perform on a certain date, I will only perform in a certain way, I want this, I want that, you know. And then when you reason with them and tell them, but I have done this enough to tell you that what you're asking for makes no sense. You know, we are in fact better off by doing Y than doing X. Right. And you'll have some artists who are just adamant because of either optics or just the way they want to do things, right? And that category of artists in my head is a problem. That's very short term and can't scale, and you know, it's just difficult to work with them. The other side, you've got artists, for example, Zakir, right? When we were doing, last year when we did our North America tour, we had Madison Square Garden, Scotiabank Arena, we had the Chicago Theatre. These are the world's most premium venues, right? We were lucky enough to have access to all three, right? So that's a huge win, not just for us, but for Indian entertainment and the ecosystem at large, especially for comedy. अब उसमें Zakir and we were having a conversation, Zakir, me, Ankur, couple of other folks, and we were like, ये तो हम कर रहे हैं. But you know, how do you make this a moment? Like, how do you really tell the world that India has arrived, Indians have arrived, our art form comedy has arrived, right? Because historically, comedy has not been looked upon as the most lucrative sort of art form. In India, it's now obviously much more renowned in that sense, but internationally, we're still not looked upon as Indian comedians are leading or paving the way, right? So like, what do we do now that we are in the driving seat? Now that we have Madison Square Garden attached to our name, can we use that to figure out something very cool? The answer to that very cool, Zakir said, Times Square. हम शो के बाद सब लोग Times Square जाएंगे. Immediately we looked at each other saying, how is this possible? Times Square ऐसा तो है नहीं कि इंडिया है कि I you know call 10-15 people, try to find a contact, figure out a way to do it and make it happen. It's Times Square. It's one of the world's most prestigious streets, right? It's always packed, huge security there. Nobody can just walk up and do anything there. You have to take multiple permissions, licenses, police, security, fire, ambulance. There's a whole list, right? And you have to plan like at least a year and a half in advance. This is our conversation from 2-3 months before कि ये करना है हमको figure out.
नहीं, but what did he want to do at Times Square?
कि हम Times Square जाएंगे और सारे audiences को वहाँ लेके जाएंगे. And we'll create a moment there. You know, we'll celebrate India and Indians at Times Square, at the most prestigious street in the world. So in our head, like, how? Also, why? Like,
I'm stuck at the why.
So the why Zakir wants to do this was, it's a moment, right?
No, but isn't the moment complete in itself?
It is, but how do you keep ऐसा तो हमने रॉयल एल्बर्ट हॉल भी किया था, हमने द थिएटर एट मैडिसन स्क्वायर गार्डन 2-3 साल पहले किया है. We've done Beacon, we've done pretty much every prestigious venue that exists, right? We've done Dubai Opera, we've done Sydney Opera. So all of these cool venues that exist, वो तो हम कर चुके हैं. The reason of doing Madison Square Garden was let's keep pushing.
Yes.
It's also that line that earlier I would write this line off. Zakir will kill me for saying it, but I was like, हाँ ठीक है, this is one of the things that Zakir says. It's great to hear, but not always doable, which is जंगल तो मुझे काटना है सड़क बनाने के लिए, बाकी लोगों के लिए, right? So I'm like, but why always us and why at our expense? Like I get, but the beating also comes to us. No, if we fail, we fail. Why are we the ones who are trying to take all the punches or duck all the punches? बाकी भी लोग हैं, बाकी भी कर सकते हैं, हम क्यों हमेशा करते हैं? And like it is on us. We have that, अब वो उसको बोल दो blessing बोल दो, और God looking over our shoulder, luck, community, fans up behind us, call it whatever, right? Like we are in that rhythm, we will keep doing it, period. So now we have to top Madison Square Garden. How do we create this as the biggest moment, cultural moment for us also in our life and for Indians and in India at large, right? So Times Square we will go. So we'll be just saying how we're going to do it. Also the most important thing, हम बॉम्बे में, इंडिया में, मैं यहाँ से remotely वो काम कैसे करूँ? I need to physically be there, talk to people, go to offices. The process is the same in every world, right? You talk to the cops, you talk to the corporation, you talk to the mayor, you talk to fire department, talk to everybody. Times Square has its own board that you have to talk to. So I'm like, मैं यहाँ से बैठ के cold email तो लिख दूंगा. Why will anyone take me seriously? Also in an email, how much do I capture, right, in terms of words? How do I tell them the emotion, etc. So we tried, we spoke to a couple of people. Someone told us it's going to cost you $500,000. Someone told us 18 महीने पहले license के लिए apply करना पड़ता है. Someone told us these 14-15 things you have to do and then the mayor will sign off. Everywhere I've gone, I've hit a dead end, right? And I'm just like, I don't see a way on how this is going to happen. And I've told Zakir that मुझको नहीं लगता ये हम कर पाएंगे. While I get that we've been able to do a lot of things, this is not achievable. This needs to be parked, right? And I don't know how we're going to do this. We'll try. I'm not giving up, but expectation setting, I don't think this is doable. We land in New York a week before the Madison Square Garden show. And we land and we're having lunch, I think that day or the next day. And Zakir is like, chhod do, Times Square, it's fine. I know it's difficult and you guys must have tried. So it's fine. Matlab, don't stress yourselves. Me, Ankur, Prerna, we're looking at each other and we're like, everything we have done till now, we've been able to do it. Some way or the other, जुगाड़ बोलो, पैसा बोलो, लग, जो भी है, कर लिया हमने, right? And we've done it exactly the way we wanted to. We've not compromised anywhere in terms of quality. We've not bent down. We've not had to suck up to people. None of that. We've done it on our terms. I'm like, अभी ये करना पड़ेगा. मतलब it was one of those things where it was more like an unsaid challenge for us. Also, it was more about we didn't want to let Zakir down. But like everything we've done together. Now, if we can do this, it will be a huge deal for us. And we went back to the same thing. This is again not just for us, it is for the community at large, right? And how do you make this happen? So we're like, ye karte figure. We literally got up from our lunch. I think this was our lunch we were having lunch with Hassan Minaj and a couple of others, or the day previous, one of those. I was just like, we're going to figure this out. Ankur and me just walked out of our lunch and we're like, we're going to figure out. Now this is two boys in formal clothes, semi-formal clothes with backpacks. Indian, Asian, whatever boys, right? And we have started walking. Now we walked for about, this is New York peak summer, okay? It's hot. We walked for about 25-30 minutes and we're lost. We don't know where to go. Okay, this is just, assume two boys in a random place with no map and they have no idea what to do. गर्मी है, पसीना छूट रहा है, पानी नहीं पिया हमने, हम चलते चलते जा रहे हैं और हम टाइम्स स्क्वायर पे पहुंचे. We met NYPD has this one booth right next to the Times Square stairs. So we walk in and now we're already very uncomfortable because we're sweaty, backpack, you know, and you're in New York in front of the police. So it's already like one of those things where you've seen enough movies to know that this is not how it's not the best situation.
Two sweaty brown men with backpacks.
Yeah. तो मेरे दिमाग में तो पूरा टाइम वही चल रहा है. And Ankur, who's my business partner, is one of those, मैं थोड़ा लॉजिकल आदमी, वो थोड़ा इम्प्रॉम्प्टू आदमी है. तो वो वन ऑफ द थिंग्स अबाउट हिम इज ऑल्सो वो सोचता है US डॉलर में, बोलता है INR में. वो ऐसा फट करके उसको दिमाग से है, तो वो चालू हो गया. You know, Zakir Khan, comedian, we want to do. I'm like, अंकुर 2 मिनट रुक जा. वो लोग वैसे भी स्ट्रेस में, मैं ज़्यादा स्ट्रेस में हूँ. Let's put a structure to this. I'm like, hi, I'm so and so. We're from this company. We rep this artist. This is what we want to do. Is there any way we can make this happen? For the first 10 seconds, they just look at each other and they're like, okay, sure. You know, we're the wrong people. You need to go and speak to the Times Square has a separate patrolling unit who I don't think are cops, but like almost cops. So they're like, you go speak with them. I'm like, where do we find them? उन्होंने बोला ये स्ट्रीट वो स्ट्रीट वहाँ में चले जाओ. अभी ऑलरेडी we're a little stressed कि हम पुलिस के सामने खड़े हैं. You know, it's in my head it was, you know, one of those moments. I'm like, यहाँ से निकलते we'll figure out. We walked 20 minutes in one direction and we're like, okay, this may be the place. And we found a couple of security guys and we're like, hey, same thing. This is what we want to do. How do we do this? NYPD has asked us to come and talk to you. They said, yeah, you're at the right place, but you're talking to the wrong person. You have to go back to another place. There is this building, this floor. Please go and speak to them. Great. We're lost again. Now this is already like an hour 15 minutes. We're just walking around and we start walking in one direction. We've walked like 6-7 blocks. We've reached a point where like, ये तो गलत जगह पे आ गया हम. यहाँ पे तो कुछ दिख ही नहीं रहा है. We're like, अच्छा, let's go back. Maybe we're in the wrong direction. We walked back and we found the same person there. We're like, sir, we couldn't find the place. Where do we go? So then he was showed to us on the map saying, this is the location. Go here. This is the building, etc. I'm like, great. It was a different direction. We walked for another half an hour. Okay, now we're like sweaty, thirsty, all of that. We've reached this location. There is nothing there. Like we couldn't find the building, right? And then we kept checking one block here, one block here, one block here, one block here. Nahi mil raha. We've asked a couple of people, hey, do you know where this building is? People around saying, we don't know what you're saying, we don't know what you're saying. No problem. Then we Googled and were like, what branch of NYPD does Times Square fall under? We found that there's this police station जो उनके under आता है. We started walking that direction again. This is just 2 hours of walking now. And we've reached a point and again we can't find the building. Suddenly we see a patrol car that's going extremely slow, right? So Ankur is like, भाई ये काम करते हैं, इसके पीछे पीछे चलते हैं. ये धीरे धीरे जा रहा है, शायद it'll take us to the station only. I'm like, great, let's do that. We walk slowly. After a 5-7 minute walk, the car pulls into the station. Now this is a garage, okay? It's gone inside a garage and the shutters have gone down. Now Ankur and I are standing outside the building. It says trespassers will be prosecuted. Private property. I have read that. I have understood that. But I am frustrated. Okay, I have been walking in the heat. I am tired. I have a show to produce. I am exhausted. Ankur is exhausted, right? I'm like, Ankur, I can see 2 cops. I can see 2 cars. Maybe this is the station. होगा इनका underground से कुछ रास्ता. So Ankur like, देख लेते हैं. I'm like, cool. So it's a slope because it's for cars. It's a parking lot. At that point, at least, I thought it's a parking lot. We start walking inside, and there are these 2 cops behind the car, okay? And I'm like, hi, sir. Suddenly, these 2 cops jump up, and they're like, stand where you are, don't move. And I'm like, whoa, I just need to know where the NWA is. He's like, don't move. And I'm like, now I'm irritated. I'm like, guys, तुम्हारा काम है help करना. I just want to know where the station is. I'm lost. By then, Ankur from behind, because he's on the higher side of the slope. He pats my back. He's like, Rishabh, chal. I'm like, अरे रुक ना. Direction ही तो मांग रहा हूँ. And he's like, Rishabh, chal. And I'm like, what? And then I look, and that guy had his hand on the gun. Obviously, right? Which is why I start the story with 2 brown guys, backpack, full shot in the heat, sweaty. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Then I realized that this is their workshop for the vehicles. This is not the police station. Obviously, you can't just walk into their workshop, right? You've got sensitive data. And I'm like, sorry. And then the other guy comes, he's like, it's okay, relax. Where do you want to go? I said, the NYPD station. Like, go around the block. I'm like, this way or this way? Ankur like, buddy, shut up and come. Okay. And we walk around, we finally get to the station. And then we sit there for like an hour and a half. We talk to them, we talk to somebody else, we send some emailers, we filled some forms, signed some papers, insurances, blah, blah. Took us a good 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours, I would say there. And we've done everything. And finally the cop comes and tells us, okay, you're good to go. I have everything I need. In 24 hours, I will come back to you. This is 2 days before the Madison Square Garden show, which means I need approvals in 24 hours. Because मुझे अगर कल अप्रूवल मिलेगा तो कल रात को मैं जाके फिर वहाँ पे सब सेटअप करवाऊँ. फिर परसों मेरा शो है, परसों तो फ्रॉम 6 AM I'm at the venue, so I can't move from there. So जो होना है 24 घंटे में होना है. All of this happens and then finally we get approvals from all the authorities saying these are your guardrails. Within these guardrails you have to figure out how to do this. Also we will deploy 2 additional units of NYPD for you there. We have this much security but we will deploy 2 additional NYPD units. Our mind was blown on how easy the process was.
Crazy.
Like all we had to do was just be honest, plead, make our case, talk to 6-7 different people from different departments, because you've got press, you've got insurance, you've got liability, you've got police, fire, ambulance, multiple people, right? So we've spoken to everybody, given indemnities on email, done all of that, and it happened.
Wow.
And this is where people have told me 18 months, $500,000, impossible, talk to the mayor. Oh, Mamdani is now running for, he'll help you, he's also whatever, Indian roots. None of that I needed. It was just pure logic, common sense and कि ये करना है बस, कुछ भी करना है, but this has to, we have to figure out how to make it happen. Worst case, they'll kick us out saying ये नहीं होगा. But we have to physically go and try. And then this happened, Times Square happened. We had some 6,000-7,000 people at Times Square. So this is Times Square, right? Street 1, Street 2, Street 3, all blocked. When I say blocked, for 2 entire blocks, we had about 5,000 to 6,000 people standing. This is South Asians, Indians, Pakistanis, Bangladeshis, they've all jam-packed it. Cars are not able to move. Everybody is screaming Zakir's name. People are applauding us. So many people have walked up to said, you've made India proud. People have cried. Roller coaster of emotions. And right behind that, there is this one billboard where on New Year's, the New York ball drops. It's a very famous landmark and an event that happens on New Year's. In the middle of our show, while we are running the show, we figured through a friend of ours that we can rent it out for 15 minutes. This was, I think, the CEO of Bloomberg or someone had access to it. Now think about all this, right? In the middle of the show, we got lucky that we had a friend who knew the CEO of Bloomberg, who was able to rent this out to us for 15 minutes via whatever contact they had, right? ये सब 2-3 घंटे के churn में हुआ है. We've transferred money, we've got this approved, we've got a design creative made. This is all happening while we're producing the biggest show that has ever happened at Madison Square Garden by an Indian. The only show rather. And the biggest moment, cultural moment, one of the biggest cultural moments for India, right? ये सब कुछ उसके दौरान हो रहा है. All of this is just pure luck. How lucky are we to have a friend who knew the CEO of Bloomberg? And that person also knew the team that owned it, right? All of this is happening within seconds. Getting a call, this is happening, great, do it. And the outcome was great. You had all these people looking at the billboard saying, Khan Saab ka beta, Madison Square Garden kha gaya. I can't tell the emotions that ran through us. Matlab, the amount of goosebumps, emotions, you see our own people around us. It was nuts. And in the middle of all of this, because there were so many people and we also wanted to make sure that safety wise, everything's okay and, people are also safe. At one point, we were like, it's time to exit now because we didn't want more people because people just kept coming because friends were calling friends saying, he's here. And because Indian instinct is, if you see police, you think it's a red flag, right? So suddenly, police. People didn't know that the NYPD was there to secure us because we had our permissions in place. The 2 extra additional teams that were deployed for our safety.
Crazy.
Right? So I exited through those 5,000 people. And again, the fans were so nice. They're like, oh, from Zakir's team, move, let him go. No? And I walked through very normally patiently and I told the cops that I think it's time for us to go. And Bjorn and Jacob, who are our agents from UTA, most kindest, hardworking and thoughtful people I've ever met. I've been working with them for the last 7-8 years. Bjorn comes in like, okay, great. I don't know how Bjorn knew the code to tell NYPD that वो होता है ना आर्मी में आप सिक्योरिटी में कोड बोलो तो सब ऐसा अटेंशन हो जाते हैं या you have certain codes to do something, right? He just said something to them and suddenly NYPD was like a robot, like tuck. And as 12-15 of them just marched towards Zakir. picked him up and escorted him through in the car and out. It was that easy. But that's the difference, the question that you asked, right? What are the things that actually are important and which are not? While this whole Times Square thing was insane to do and to pull off, it was needed. It was important for us to do, right? It is like a cherry on the cake. Like, it is almost impossible to do, but when you do it, it makes you feel so good, you know? And now that we've done it, I'm hoping that a lot more people will have the access to do it. And then you've got another set of artists who will ask for frivolous things when your PNL barely can afford it, right? Even they go into loss, and with them producers and promoters also lose money, where a lot of people don't realize that the promoters are the reason why artists can continue touring. It is their family, their cash flow for months that is deployed into the show, right? When you ask for things that are not important, that are not going to add any value to you, maybe it will only add some personal value to the artist themselves, right? But not to the show, not to the audience, not from an experience point of view. I think those things are frivolous, and those things some artists need to understand that it doesn't make sense. But basic things like having a specific color of M&M or, you know, specific type of food is just a way to sort of check how seriously the producer or the promoter is taking their job.
But अभी फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में जो एक इशू चल रहा है, एटलीस्ट जितना मैंने न्यूज़ में देखा, इज लाइक दी मैसिव कॉस्ट ऑफ हैंडलिंग द ऑन्टोराज. लाइक व्हेन एन आर्टिस्ट कम्स, उनके साथ जो 10 लोगों का ऑन्टोराज आ रहा है, उनकी अलग रिक्वायरमेंट्स हैं. तो अभी इस पे बहुत डिबेट्स चल रहे हैं, पीपल आर ट्राइंग टू कट कॉस्ट वगैरह. सो इन लाइव इवेंट्स, व्हाट इज़ द कॉस्ट ऑफ ऑन्टोराज? एंड जो फ्रिवलिस्ट लाइक जो लाइक आस्क्स होती हैं आर्टिस्ट की, क्या ये उसमें आता है, या जब कोई बड़ा आर्टिस्ट होता है? सो ऑन्टोराज का कितना ध्यान रखना पड़ता है?
I think comedy is one of those art forms that isn't that frivolous. I don't think there are random demands that come in. With everything that I have seen, and again, I've been very lucky to have front row seats to the evolution of comedy and its scalability. Comedy is like dal chawal. It's very straightforward. There's one comic, there's one manager, maybe a sound and light engineer with them, depending on the scale of the show that you're doing. That's it. And then you're at the show, you're doing your bit and you go back home. There isn't the need, nor has ever been a demand in that sense that I want things in a very, you know, I want these 10 things which sound frivolous. Sure, it happens in music touring. It 100% happens in Bollywood. You've got very high entourage costs like drivers and HMU and stylists. I've heard of some comics who've wanted HMU and styling at their shows, which in my opinion makes no sense, because when you're performing as a comedian, what's important is what's coming out of your mouth and how much are you able to make the audience laugh or take them on the journey with you, right? There, the way you look has no meaning. Sure, in Bollywood, your currency is also the way you appear. And maybe that's the need that sort of helps keep up with the business. But comedy is pretty straightforward. Unless you're playing like arenas, etc., you need a whole crew. Like when we played Madison Square Garden and Scotiabank Arena, we had a team of some 25-30 people, right? And this is just our core team. So again, because it's a milestone event, you've got enough important guests that are coming in. For example, at the Madison Square Garden show, we had Tanmay, we had Hassan Minaj, we had Calpen, we had so many people who had come in right from the industry. We had a bunch of folks from AEG, Live Nation, UTA, Outback, a lot of agents. So there's relationship management. So you need a team to do that. You need someone to make sure security is being taken care of from our end. There's someone who's deploying accreds. There's someone who's making sure hospitality is being taken care of. Because again, it's such a massive arena. You have multiple sound, light engineers who are deployed. You've got someone who's running the LED screen. So when you're doing a show at that scale, your team obviously becomes significantly large. You've got well-wishers, friends with you. So that team is large, right? Plus, just to set up the entire stadium with production, we had about 80 to 100 people who we had locally hired. You've got a photography team, videography team, bunch of that. But otherwise, and these are like 1 or 2 comics from India, right, who are playing at that level. But otherwise, it's very straightforward. Artist, manager, plus 1.
Got it.
So you don't have a lot of these expenses that keep popping up.
Yeah. I have also अभी recently met जाकिर भाई, जब उनका जयपुर में शो था एंड लाइक उनका दिन में एक शो था और एक आई थिंक एक 3 बजे था, एक 7 बजे था. सो बहुत बार ऐसा हुआ है बिकॉज आई एम फ्रॉम जयपुर. सो जब उनके शोज हुए तो वो जो बीच का टाइम है 2 घंटे का, आई स्पेंट विद हिम. तो इस बार भी वही हुआ था कि पहले शो में मैं मेरी टीम के साथ गया था, ही स्पेंट बीच का सारा टाइम विद अस. रात वाले शो में मैंने उनका शो वापस देखा बिकॉज माई पेरेंट्स वर कमिंग फॉर दैट. सो उसके बाद ही स्पेंड टाइम विद माई पेरेंट्स एंड इतना मतलब ही इज़ वन ऑफ दोज पीपल हु इज़ एक्चुअली क्यूरियस अबाउट वॉट यू आर अप टू. कहाँ से हो, क्या कर रहे हो, क्या काम चल रहा है, ये कैसे करने वाले हो, लाइक और बहुत वो दिख जाता है. पता है लाइक देयर इज नो BS इन दैट. लाइक ही रियली वांट्स टू नो व्हाट यू आर अप टू. या तो ये बाहर भी जब वो शोज करते हैं, डज ही मीट पीपल लाइक दैट?
Always. Touring with Zakir specifically is the most exhausting, but it's also the best experience you can ever have. Every single day that we tour internationally also, we wake up at about 7 a.m. and we go to sleep at like 3 or 4 in the morning every single day.
Crazy.
We are doing meetings and either it's business meetings or we're catching up with friends, or friends are introducing us to new people. Our entire day goes in that. And it's just basically building a community, right? For example, if you go to New York now, whenever rather, and if you call them today morning and tell them I need a table in the next 5 hours for lunch, ask for a table for 4, 5, 6. 9 out of 10 times you're not going to get that table. They'll tell you we're booked out for weeks. You're not going to get a table, right? It's that difficult. At most of the good restaurants that you go to. Because of the community, friends, etc. we've made, our entire New York trip during Madison Square Garden, every meal we've had with 20 to 25 people. And we have called the restaurant an hour before.
Yes.
Saying, hey, we're coming. You know, when I say it's a community, I actually mean it, because there are tables that are just booked out. Okay, Zakir and team are in New York this week. Keep this table aside. We've never, had that problem of table nahi milega, kya karenge. We've always had our meals with the people we want, where we want. And everyone's so kind. Everyone samne se will call and say, Rishabh, you're in town, why don't you guys come here? Or they'll call Zakir and say, भाई आप यहाँ पर हो, सबको लेके यहाँ पे आ जाओ. Or they'll call Ankur and tell them, why don't you come and have dinner with us tonight, you know. And they're kind enough to make food that we like also. None of this is a power trip. None of this, you can't buy this with money.
Absolutely.
You know, you can't, आप इज्जत पैसे से नहीं कमा सकते. You can make tons of money, and I know so many people who made money but have absolutely not built respect from people, right? Or there are people who make money but just you don't want to work with them just because of the way they'll talk to you, the way, you know, you need to be treated as an equal in every relationship. And तो कभी नहीं चलेगा, right? This is just respect that is earned. And we've gone to, in the last 1 year, we've been to New York thrice, where we've only spent 36 hours. So assume I've landed on Monday, Tuesday night we've taken a flight out. And we've done this thrice in like 5 months. We've spent more time in flying than actually being in the US, but it is just to show up for folks there. Like we had to meet someone, so we flew in, met that person, met 6-7 more people. So we landed at 9 a.m., got to our hotel by about 11:30-ish. By 12 we were out. We did our first lunch meeting, then we met someone, and that went on till 3 in the morning. We watched comedy shows. So it's not like at no point with Zakir, if you're touring with him, are you sitting in a hotel room. It's a hostel. Yeah. You come there to shower, use the loo and sleep. It's for these specific things. Basically, it's a 5-hour requirement. Yeah. Others are not in that room at all. You're always up and about the kind of people you meet. And this I've learned after spending 10-11 years with him is it is very important to know who you're speaking to. So you understand who that person is. For example, one of my drawbacks has always been that I'm very like calm to calm. Like for me, it's everything is point to point. It's point A to point B. I need to drive it. That's it. I don't do small talk. I'm a very stoic sort of a person. I'm always very hyper alert. You know, even if I'm at a lunch with someone, I'm very hyper alert. What's happening? Why is this happening? Everything, like every conversation for me, for some reason turns out to be a meeting, right? But with him, I've realized that you've got to keep your guard down no matter who you're with. you may be with a business partner, you may be with the most powerful agent in the world, or with a friend or with an enemy, right? Just let your guard down. Just chill in that moment. What's going to go wrong? No, so now when I talk to people, I'm like, where are you from? How do you get into this line of work? What are you doing? Friends, family, kids, what's happening in life. And that just sort of helps you understand who the person is. And then that just changes the way you talk to a person, how you talk to a person, how you deal with them in the future. You get to know. बेसिकली वो सामने वाले की नियत समझ में आ जाती है आपको.
Absolutely, and I'm telling you like उन्होंने जो डायरेक्ट एक्सेस टू जो मैं उनके शोज देखने गया हूँ, दिस इज वन इंसिडेंट. इससे पहले भी जब वो एक बार जयपुर में आए थे तो विनायक वाज शूटिंग दिस, जो आपके पीछे बैठा है, इट वाज ही स्पेंट 2 hours विद मी एंड विनायक इन बिटवीन शोज. अभी लास्ट टाइम जो अभी ये तो 1-2 महीने पहले की बात है, जो पापा यार का जो जयपुर वाला शो था उनका, वहाँ मतलब ही इज हैविंग इतना इंसेन डिस्कशन विद माय एडिटर जो बिल्कुल बात नहीं करता है अबाउट धुरंधर. और हम ऐसे देखे जा रहे हैं प्रियांश ऐसे भी बात करते हैं, वो जाकर धुरंधर ये नहीं, वो दोनों अलग ट्रिप कर रहे हैं. सो दैट इज अ साइड लाइक ही नोज हाउ टू गेट आउट ऑफ.
I mean, he's almost like a brother. I mean, he is a brother only to me. But like you said, right? I think when I am traveling, I'm a very, like I said, I'm a very stoic, calm to calm type person. But with him, when we're in New York or somewhere, we're singing 1980s ke songs on the streets. We're singing Lag Ja Gale at 12 a.m., 1 a.m. in the morning. We're singing Lukka Chuppi loudly when we're walking on the streets of New York. And it is very what's the word? It's very unlike of me to sort of do those things, but it's just one of those things where you feel comfortable. With Tanmay, for example, I'm very comfortable with Tanmay. It also because it comes with that feeling, that the other person is not judging you. When, for example, at least with me, when I'm talking to a lot of the artists, I'm always feeling like, there's always that one dynamic, that you're trying to, prove a point or get your way, but they're trying to prove a point and get their way. It always feels like a negotiation, even though you've known them for a very long time. But you've got certain artists who are just very chill. They're like, just you do you. There's enough trust, right? And without trust, it doesn't work. Like with Tanmay, I don't have to ask him, hey, FIM, this is what is going to happen. This should we do it? Should we not do it? There's a lot of trust that exists with Zakir. There's a lot of trust that exists with so many artists, right? There's just easy to work with them. Suhani, for example, there are just so many artists who you just talk to and you want to work with them. You want to build with them and for them. If that doesn't exist, if there is that love, respect, compassion, and the hunger to do more, right? If that doesn't exist for both parties, it's never going to work. There's this one thing that I keep when I used to lead the team at Oman, I used to tell all the managers when they join that the way I look at the artist and manager relationship is that the artist is the chief creative officer. As a manager, you're the chief business officer. You're not their EA, you're not their PA, you're not their therapist. Your job is to get things done for the artist, which benefits them and benefits you and the team that you represent, right? But it has to be a teamwork. You don't work for them, you work with them. There's a huge difference between for and with, right?
नो बट ये हर केस में ट्रू नहीं होता, राइट? लाइक आपके केस में मतलब हर आर्टिस्ट और मैनेजर के बीच में ये रिलेशन होता है.
मेरे हिसाब से मेजॉरिटी लोगों के रिलेशनशिप में इट इज वर्किंग फॉर एंड नॉट वर्किंग विथ.
हाँ, बट इज इट रॉन्ग?
इन माय ओपिनियन आई फील इट इज रॉन्ग. It again depends, right?
But like how can it be for when like let's say a manager's cut is let's say 20%, so how is it with वो equal relationship कैसे हुआ?
देखो, एक तो है जो पेपर पे आप लिखते हो कि भाई मैं आपको इतना कट दे रहा हूँ, वो टेक्निकल टर्म्स पे आप वर्किंग विथ हो गए. बट इट इज ऑल्सो हाउ यू आर ट्रीटेड.
हाँ, that I agree with.
If on day one only I tell you are wrong, you should not do this, these are your clubs, ऐसे क्यों हो गया, how dare you do this, किसको पूछ के किया. If you're going to start micromanaging your manager, then why do you need your manager?
Exactly. Yeah.
फिर आप खुद ही कर लो या एक EA को हायर कर लो ना. If you have to micromanage, right? Mistakes are going to happen. It's not. We've done again. Between Ankur and me, we've done 10,000 plus shows, right? Ankur has every stadium show that happens in India for comedy, every arena show. Ankur Kaushik is the one who has built it. Nobody else in India has done that. Ankur Kaushik is the one who set up the base. ताल कटोरा करना है, अंकुर कौशिक ने दुनिया को सिखाया है कि ताल कटोरा में कॉमेडी शो कैसे होता है। IG स्टेडियम में उसने सिखाया कैसे होता है। हर अरीना या लार्ज स्केल कॉमेडी शो जो हुआ है वो अंकुर कौशिक ने जाके वहाँ पर गलतियाँ की है, उस और एक कोई आर्टिस्ट के साथ गलती की है ना, उसने खुद जाके तो नहीं स्टेज पे चढ़ा है। Be it a Zakir or be it a whoever, he has brought that artist there and built a show there, made mistakes, learned from it, came back stronger, but has passed on his learnings to people, saying that okay, these are the mistakes we made, you don't make these mistakes, this is how you can do better.
Super.
Right? That's how you build a community. That's how you do it. You build betterment for the entire ecosystem at large. Because if 1, 2, 3, if everybody starts failing, nobody is going to attempt it. फिर वो बंद ही हो जाएगा ना, वो आप फिर उतने वो बड़े वेन्यूज आप करोगे ही नहीं, आप उस कॉस्ट पर काम ही नहीं करोगे. Then it will start impacting P&Ls, it will pressurize promoters, all of those things. At some point you've got to do things yourself and learn, right? By default, if you're running a business or doing a business, the cost implications are you're going to make a mistake at some point in time, right? You can't always be penalized for those mistakes unless it's a recurring thing and you're just lazy, etc. Then obviously the manager or the team is wrong, right? But if you're attempting something and something goes wrong, that's the cost of doing business.
Yeah.
You fix and you move on, right? तो जब आप साथ में mistakes करके वो figure कर सकते हो, and when the artist is okay with those costs and figuring, that is when you're working with.
Yeah.
When you're being pulled up constantly, being micromanaged and told this is wrong, this is not how you do it, I will do it myself, you know, not keeping the manager or management in loop, that is working for. If that relationship is defined that, hey, I don't want you to interfere in my life, just do your day-to-day job perfectly and I will do my work, then you're clear. ये ठीक है, मेरा काम working for है. It's a very platonic sort of a relationship. You give me work, I do work, period. I'm not using my brain. But if you want to actually grow as an artist, because also your manager is also managing other people, he's talking to 100 other people every day, right? There is that much information that the artist manager has. There is more sampling that the artist is doing for what's right, what's wrong. Way more than the artist. Artist ने क्या साल में 50, 100, 150 shows किए होंगे at best, right? Manager is doing that multiple into 4, 5 times. So the artist knows what's right, what's wrong. If you don't trust, the manager knows what's right, what's wrong. If you don't trust the manager, it's one of those things which is, what's that line that Zakir says? काम करने में और करवाने में ज़मीन आसमान का फ़र्क होता है. करने में और करवाने के बीच में मैनेजर होता है कि मैं तो मांग लूँगा. द सेम थिंग ऑफ टाइम स्क्वायर, राइट? जाके तो मांग ले, मुझे टाइम स्क्वायर करना है, करवाना भी तो पड़ता है वो. मांगने से थोड़ी ना होगा. It's great to manifest as one should, but it also has to happen in reality, right? Between करने में और करवाने में is the manager standing, and the manager deserves that respect to sort of be able to continue. तो वो क्यों करेगा? मतलब they're working at a meager salary or a small commission. Why would the manager work, right? There is no incentive for that person. So that's I think the difference between with and for.
मुझे एक और चीज़ बताओ, जैसे सिंस आई एम एन आउटसाइडर टू द इवेंट लाइव इंडस्ट्री, तो वहाँ पे ऐसे इंडिया के बाहर के भी ऐसे कौन से आर्टिस्ट हैं जिनकी आपको ऐसे बातें पता है? जैसे ये तो वेरी गॉसिपी क्वेश्चन कि अरे तुम्हें पता है जब कान्हे आता है उसको ये चाहिए होता है, जब ये ट्रैवल करता है इसको ये चाहिए होता है. एनीथिंग यू माइट हैव आल्सो हर्ड और एक्सपीरियंस कि किस लेवल तक लाइक दी I don't know, not just for attention to detail or tactical also, but something they really want. Okay, when you are dealing with this person needs this person needs this.
I think some of the random stuff, again, back when I was an intern and there was some international, I think it was a DJ, I think it was a DJ or a music duo that had come in, or an ensemble actually. They asked for underwears and condoms. And they were not even going to stay the night. And they were supposed to say come in at, I don't know, 6 o'clock and leave at 9 o'clock, which meant that they would go perform and immediately leave for a flight to the other city, right? But it was a part of their hospitality rider, and it was, again, this is when I was a kid, it was very awkward for me to buy underwears and condoms, but obviously it's my job, so I bought it and I kept it in their green room, and I really wanted to figure ki, you know what's happening, so I was quite weirded out, because this was just guys. So I'm like, I don't know what's happening. But after their show, when they left and I entered the green room, it was just there as it is, fully unused. You know, so I also didn't know what to do of it. Like, I just left it and we went.
I remember, just I know of one key, again hearsay here, because जयपुर बहुत सारे सेलिब्रिटीज वेकेशंस के लिए भी आते हैं. सो एट न्यू ईयर्स 2-3 साल पहले दुआ लिपा हैड कम टू जयपुर. And there's a very famous like 5-star 7-star hotel there, Rambagh Palace. So I think she was there. तो मेरे को मेरा एक friend है वहाँ पे, तो he was telling कि she traveled with her own butler. तो वहाँ पे Rambagh people weren't serving her food. Her butler were serving her food in a 5-star hotel in India.
But I don't, again, because now I've matured enough and seen enough of the world and spoken to enough international agents who rep people like Dua Lipas, etc. The need of having them sort of makes sense.
Yes.
It's the same way like how you've got a group of 15-20 Indians traveling international, they take their own
yeah जैसे I have heard ये रणबीर कपूर के लिए भी उनका शेफ उनके साथ travel करता है, and where he like जब particularly
because their currency is how they look, how healthy they are, right? So to maintain that currency, that's their livelihood. If they stop looking the way they are, it could impact business.
नहीं, मैं तो ये इम्प्रेस होने वाले उस स्टाइल से कह रहा हूँ. मैं ये नहीं कह रहा कि I am very impressed by this. Like this is the thing I would want to do.
Yeah, 100%.
ये मैं ऐसे नहीं, I am impressed कि Dua Lipa does this, क्योंकि मेरे को ऐसा लगता है जीवन में जब पैसा और सक्सेस आता है, you do everything for certainty.
Yeah.
कि जब कोई नॉक करे, जब कोई कुछ करना है तो you bring, आपको certainty है कि ये टोन में आपसे बात कर रहा है, खाना आ रहा है तो ऐसे आ रहा है. So आप certainty की chances बढ़ाते जाते हो.
It's just peace of mind.
Absolutely.
Right? Like I keep having this discussion with my wife where when we're going on holidays, she's like, we don't need to book a 5-star in an international city. A 3-star is as good as a 5-star. But in my head, I'm like, I already take very few holidays, right?
Exactly.
Now when I'm taking a holiday, I want to make sure everything is the way I want it.
Exactly.
I don't want to wait for an early check-in. I know I don't want people to disturb me. I don't want the room to smell. I don't want a dirty carpet. I want a bathtub. These are things that make me happy. And if I have the means, I don't see a reason why not to. Like, what am I going to do otherwise, right?
सही बात.
तो मुझे चाहिए जो मुझे मेरे घर में नहीं मिल रहा है, मुझे वहाँ पे चाहिए. That's why you go on a holiday, right? To get things that you're not getting in your day to day. So I want that there. So I want to live a certain way. And my wife always argues, it's, you know, you're spending 30,000-40,000 more a day. What's the point? And I'm like, but
that's the point.
Yeah, it's matlab, if it is, you know, taking off the risk of me being irritated on my holiday, it's worth it, right? I'm already spending time and money to travel to a certain place. तब अगर वहाँ पर जाके if I don't like the hotel or the room or the service or whatever, then what's the point of all of this, right? So I'd rather, you know, stay or live a certain way. And I agree. I mean, if there is, it's everyone's choice.
Yeah, like मेरे को ऐसा लगता है कि when you are building a routine in your life in regard to health, food, आप जब एक जगह होते हो, it is easier, right?
Yeah.
अगर मैं बॉम्बे रहूँगा 1 महीने तो मेरे को पता है मैं क्या खाना खाऊंगा, वो पूरा फिक्स्ड है, जिम कब जाना है, स्पोर्ट्स कब करना है. The trick is when you start traveling, and particularly when you are doing shows and everything. तो how do you make sure कि आपका protein intake सही आ रहा है, you are getting the gym correctly, you are getting everything. So I don't know.
I honestly don't. I love eating food.
Yeah.
I'll eat whatever I can get my hands on. But before I go to a city, since I've been traveling, since the day that I've been, you know, doing holidays, I've never seen what tourist attractions are in a city. I've always made a list of what are the restaurants that are there in that city.
Wow.
And because I love eating food, right? So for me, it is primarily what food I can get my hands on. So I don't care about, I mean, look at me. I don't care about diet or anything. I just want to eat really, really, really good food, right? So I stop. I love, talking to chefs and being friends with them and, you know, trying to make acquaintances with them because the kind of food they have, access they have, I love food. So for me, that's my plus, right? I have no routine. I prefer having a bathtub in my hotel room so that I can just relax. That 1 hour that I get, I can just chill, watch, do whatever, you know, watch content or do what I have to do. But I don't have my routines are pretty straightforward. My routine, however, when we're doing large scale tours is pretty straightforward. I prefer going in an hour and a half before the suggested call time, which usually is 8 or 9 a.m. on the day of the shows when our call time starts. I prefer waking up early and going there. And I play my music. I'll go inside, I need my coffee, I play my music, and I just see the surroundings, so I familiarize myself with what's happening, right? I'll play AC/DC, I'll play some spiritual songs, I just like getting in that zone for half an hour. I don't do anything for that half an hour. I just chill. I'll have coffee, I'll munch on something, I'll listen to music. I'll just get that going, as cliche as may sound, but I enjoy that downtime of half an hour because I know uske baad मुझे भागना ही है.
Another thing I want to talk about is like the festivals of the world, like comedy festivals हो गए या जो भी arts festival होते हैं, because Edinburgh festival हमारे इतने comedians जाते हैं, like all sorts of artists जाते हैं. Do we also have any such festival happening in India?
For whatever reason, India doesn't have its own large scale legit comedy festival in my opinion. There are obviously a bunch. There's Mumbai Fringe Festival that's happening now. There's Mumbai Comedy Festival. There used to be a Bangalore. There's a Pune Comedy Festival. There's a bunch of those happening, right? But these are either limited to cities or is at a very small scale, There is nothing that's sort of being built or attempted at the scale of a Just for Laugh or an Edinburgh Fringe or a Melbourne Comedy or a New York Comedy Festival. And there are a ton of comedy festivals that happen, right? Again, I'm not saying we need to copy someone or equate it with a certain type of festival, or build a festival like that. It's good to take inspiration, in my opinion. Right now, there is very high demand, which is why everybody feels like they're in a driving seat. I think in the last year-ish or so, year and a half, I would say, everything feels like it's एक phone call पे हो जाएगा, but I don't think that's the case. And that's definitely will not bring longevity for sure. That's a very short-term way of sort of building things. Because it's a small community, I feel like when people can come together and build something, it can actually be sustainable. It is not about taking a piece of the pie. It is about being a part of the pie, but also making the pie larger. Like how all of us can come together to make the pie larger. It is, if I am able to build 15 shows for somebody in a certain market, there are 10 other artists who will be able to do the same thing and maybe be able to do better than me, right? But someone has to build it for the others to sort of go through that, right? If everybody can come together and share learnings, experiences, build it together, play on their own strengths, there's a lot that can be achieved. I feel right now it's one of those energy fests where everybody wants to prove they're the biggest, they're the largest, they're the highest profitable, they're the highest selling. I don't think our industry has reached, we're not a multi-thousand crore industry, we're not even a 300-400 crore industry in that sense, right? Just from a live touring perspective for comics. Maybe if you add brand work, must be about 300-350 crores, but out of which, by the way, 3 comedians own 50% or more of this market, right? So it's not like there is ton of money and it's spread across and everybody is, running their own ship. A lot of people feel that they're the custodians or have the right to sort of build a festival or are the know-it-all knowledge bearers of something and therefore feel like they're the only ones who should build it. I feel like a bunch of us can come together and build it and do a really good job. Because a comedy festival in India could have come up at any point in the last 5 years. It's not like comedy started booming now. It's been booming since the pandemic. Tier 2, Tier 3 markets have grown 4-5x. Ticket prices that used to sell at $4.99 are now at $7.99, $9.99 in Tier 2 markets. In fact, Tier 2 markets are a higher revenue source than metros, right? So it's not like a comedy festival couldn't come in the last 5 years. It could have. But because none of us are able to pinpoint that one festival that is pan-India and has like pan-community, it means that someone, like everyone who's attempting it, maybe is not doing the right thing.
साल में एक activity होती है comedians की, which I always look forward to. Can you guess what it is?
Cricket. I thought so.
Indian Premier League के अलावा if there is one thing I give a what is Comedians Premier League. मैं जब भी मैच होता है, like मैं इतना diligently देखता हूँ कि रवि गुप्ता और विपुल गोयल की commentary हो रही है. It is so much fun.
Best commentary ever in the world.
I am so invested in cricket Premier League. And I think चारों जो cities हैं उसमें सब एक बार जीत गए. I think Delhi है, Bombay है, Chandigarh है.
I think so.
3 I think. There are 3 or 4, yeah. Awesome. So it's too much fun, yeah.
But see, you answered that question, right? When everybody comes together with no hidden agenda, when all your cards on the table saying, ये हम मस्ती के लिए कर रहे हैं,
हाँ.
इसमें पैसा नहीं बनाना है हमको, इसमें बस एक ऑफ साइड करना है, सब एजेंसीज कॉमेडियंस मैनेजर्स के लिए आओ, सब चिल करो, कुछ स्पॉन्सरशिप नहीं, ये नहीं, कोई none of those, no strings attached, just come, friend, no friend, just come enjoy for 3 days, 4 days, whatever, and go back home, right? It's just a break. Everybody comes together and does it, which is why it's been happening year on year, right? Which is why it's growing. So till the time people don't, the thing is, suddenly in comedy, everybody is trying to say there is a better deal, there's a better deal, there's a better deal. If there is a better deal, why have you not signed that deal? Where is that better deal? Have you signed the dotted line? Has someone actually given it to you on a piece of paper? If I have spoken to so many people where I'm like, I think this is what we should do, or we could do this together, or there's a better way to do it, right? Great, let's do it. And then I know they've gone and, or 2-3 different ticketing platforms will be pegged against each other, saying, मुझे इतना मिला है, तुम इतना दो. Then they'll go back to C, then they'll go back to B, then they'll go back to A, right? You're actually not signing anything. You're not actually building anything. You're not actually taking that money and putting it to good use. You're not being able to scale anything. There is continuity. There is no scalability.
Yeah.
I think couple of artists have been able to sort of actually build on the foundation and have increased their ticket prices. Venues have become larger, more number of tickets are being sold. All of those things are happening. It could be on the bank of content IPs, could be on the back of their own comedy clips, or 1 or 2 promoters who've actually been able to scale that. But बाकी सबका तो continuity ही चल रहा है. It is a lot more dependent on how the managers and management sort of come together to be able to build together. This industry is not किसी एक इंसान की, ना ये मेरी है, ना किसी और की है, ना ये 2-3 लोग की है. It has to be built together.
I see a lot of parallels between Bollywood and like the Indian stand-up industry. कि Bollywood में भी बोला जाता है ना, it's not enough when only the biggest films do the best.
Yeah.
The small scale indie films also need to do very well.
Volume वहीं से तो आता है.
Volume वहीं से आएगा, and then as an industry the overall thing will grow. क्योंकि top वाले तो करते ही रहेंगे. But what about like the people who are just experimenting too much? जो stand-up comedy के indie लोग हैं, उनका चलना for the overall health of the industry बहुत ज़रूरी है, right?
I love equating everything artsy with a business point of view, but it's like one of those things where you have a CEO, right? That CEO is going to stop existing at some point. कभी retire होगा, नौकरी छोड़ देगा, plans will change. So you need a level 2.
Yes.
You need a second layer of leadership to be able to take over.
हाँ, it's like कि जब विराट और रोहित जाए, we need to have our players.
मतलब हर चीज़ में ऐसा होता है, स्पोर्ट्स में होता है, बिजनेस में होता है. It's the same thing in here also, right? You need to have your own community. You need to have your own group. It's the same way like when I'm running the business, or when Ankur and I are running the business, we have our 10-12 people who we sort of go back to saying, "Acha, you guys do this, you run that. All of these cities, you guys lead." It's also it's team building. You're helping scale the business, takes off a lot from your plate also. And it just in general helps grow the ecosystem at large. Comedy में same है. I think day for yesterday, Zakir, Tanmay, Karan Aujla and me, we met for coffee, and we were just talking about something, and this point came up that there has to be like a second layer.
Yeah, I wrote it in caps. Level 2 बहुत ज़रूरी है.
Yeah, and we were just discussing कि यार comedy में ये 10 लोग हमको लगता है कुछ हो सकता है इनके साथ. And these are people are very like 10-12,000 followers, right? This is something that OML used to do really well. We built Comicstan. Comicstan became our supply of comedy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It became a show, and so many people, Samay, Akash Gupta, Rahul Dua, Prashasti, they're all Comicstan babies, right? Comicstan sort of funneled comedians into the industry, and therefore to OML to sign also, right? And out of the 30, 40, 50 you sign, 5-6 suddenly grow, right? Aishwarya Mohan Raj, one of the most best humans out there, like absolutely sweet human, absolutely funny also in general, intellectual. She's one of the biggest names, right? But it's not like 5 years ago, 6-7 years ago, she was at this scale. It just happened, right? doing consistency.
No, but I'm very मेरे को एक बहुत बड़ी learning मिल गई इसमें, particularly because
Level 2, हाँ.
yeah, level 2 for my, like the way I also run Chalchitra, I think level 2 is a very important thing.
No, it is.
कि आपके बाद कौन क्या करेगा.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
We were talking about the Tanmay, Zakir and all of us का conversation, and we were deciding that अच्छा, these 10 comics are the ones we should start working with a lot more, which means that let's go to their open mics, let's see how their work is, and let's give them a writing assignment. And if it works for us, let's start getting them to do a lot of our content and brand writing stuff.
Crazy.
And build that community. तो हमारे 5-6 लोग हो गए. Like for example, Kullu used to do a lot of the writing work with Tanmay and Zakir, right? And then he started growing, and now Kullu is who Kullu is. Now Kullu has somebody who he is going to mentor. He will now start scouting for people, and he'll bring those people. Rohan, for example, you know, Rohan, Tanmay, they all used to write for screen, and a bunch of these. They started AIB first draft, built a lot in the writing space. Ashish Shakya, for example. Now they have their own folks who write for them, right? So it's everybody is scaling and building with a +1. So that's how this grows, which is why I keep emphasizing that. And the fraternity, which includes comedians plus agents, managers, management, etc., need to come together to be able to build and solve problems, versus constantly try to one up each other. There is nothing to one up.
Doesn't work. And everything you say, मैं film के parallels ढूंढ रहा हूँ इसमें. जैसे film festivals होते हैं, right?
Yeah.
You need a amount of healthy film festivals so that new filmmakers can come in. Like I was telling you, I made my first feature. The validation I needed was from 10 people who are of my age or even younger than me, who are the filmmakers I look up to, जिनके सबके 1 लाख से कम फॉलोअर हैं.
Yeah.
आप समझ रहे हो? बिकॉज मेरे को पता है these including us will be the next big thing.
100%.
तो मेरे को पता है यार ये देख ले इसके 5,000 हैं, but like these are the people I know are who are going to rule this like side of things.
हर चीज compounding effect ही होती है.
Exactly.
You start small and keeps compounding and reaches a scale where you've got a large enough team, community, ticket buyers, audience, loyalty, all of that.
So you understand live का जो पूरा concert very well. So which is in regard to the realm of music, which is the best live concert that you have ever attended in your life?
For me, it's been Coldplay.
Yeah, dude. Oh.
Coldplay has been amazing. Coldplay has always been on my bucket list since.
It was never on my bucket list. I became a fan of Coldplay after that concert.
Oh, really?
Yeah. मैं सुनता था 3-4 गाने, Yellow, Magic वगैरह.
हाँ.
But I became a hardcore Coldplay fan after last January.
Interesting. Since the day I've heard Coldplay and Mumford and Sons. These two are the bands who I've been in complete awe. Coldplay happened to me years ago. And they've always been on my bucket list to watch. And after I got married, I told my wife that okay, I want to watch Coldplay outside of India once.
मुझे आप ये समझाइए, because मेरे से भी जब कोई पूछता है, because I attend a lot of music fests and stuff like live concerts and all, अभी इंडिया आने लग गए हैं. But जैसे जो मेरे favorites हैं, जैसे Linkin Park is my favorite and all these, I still wouldn't keep them in the same category as Coldplay concert.
Sure.
और आप जैसे explain कर रहे हो, articulate कर रहे हो कि what makes for a good concert or a live event, I think you'll be able to tell why the Coldplay concert is what it is. So what makes it so special? What did they crack so beautifully कि ऐसा मैंने आज तक कुछ देखा ही नहीं है.
I think number one is just psychologically it's aspirational. To watch Coldplay is maybe शायद इस जिंदगी में आप देख पाओ. At least for me, that wow, I am going to watch Coldplay live. It is insane. You know, like I'm done. ये देख लिया, अभी मैंने सब कुछ देख लिया लाइफ में, right? So I think one is just if you are like that hardcore a fan, right? It's just aspirational to hear Coldplay perform live. Also because you see a lot of the bands breaking up, not doing shows. You know, at any given point in time, anything happens, right? So just having to watch them live, I think, is the biggest sort of a takeaway. But what Book My Show was able to do from a concert experience point of view is amazing. And again, I'm very fortunate and lucky enough to be able to talk to Ashish Hemrajani, who is one of the founders at Book My Show, or Naman Pugade, who's Book My Show's CBO. mentors and very close friends of mine, whenever we've always sat down and spoken about, you know, what is the next thing, or how technology is evolving, or how, for example, Coldplay happened, right? I can't explain in the right ways, but when you book a stadium like a Narendra Modi Stadium or a DY Patil, right? It's not like you can just go walk up on the cricket pitch and start breaking ground and, you know, making holes and putting tents and stages. It doesn't work like that. They had to, I don't know what plate it's called, but, you know, there is this one entire metal plate. I think Ashish said he got it from Belgium, some part of Germany, I don't know where. But there is this one plate that they had put
on the whole stadium,
on the turf of the pitch of the stadium, which basically reflects sunlight, and not reflects, or it captures sunlight, and that sunlight sort of gives enough heat and warmth to the grass that is growing so that it doesn't kill the grass. There's enough water retention, humidity.
What are you saying?
So there was this entire plate that was put in both the stadiums so that it doesn't affect the pitch, right? They'd flown in a couple of these international folks who are good with, you know, maintaining grass, and I don't know what the word is, botanist, I don't know what the right term is, but they got those guys just to monitor levels.
Crazy.
So they had these cranes where they were checking humidity and growth. All of that was happening, right? So it's not like, again, most people, including artists and managers, think कि एक phone कर लो, book हो गया, पैसे भेज दो, show खड़ा हो जाता है.
ऐसा नहीं होता.
I have produced a show at Madison Square Garden. I have produced a show at Scotiabank Arena. It takes efforts, and how. You don't just show up.
Yeah.
The amount of negotiation, power dynamics. You're also an Indian in a foreign land. You don't know who is who.
Yeah.
You know, you're paying in dollars. For example, for the last 45 days leading up to the show at Madison and Scotia, every night I used to be on a call. Ankur and me used to be on a call with our different partners till like 3 a.m. And my wife would listen in on some of the calls. And after every call, she would tell me, you do realize you're spending money in US dollars and not INR. ऐसा है नहीं कि किसी ने show किया है वहाँ पर from our community or from India, who I can call and say, please give me your notes. I need to learn, I need to figure out what is the actual cost of production, how do I price tickets, how much security, how much blah blah, right? There is no roadmap. There's nothing that I could learn from, right? So everything that we were doing, we were attempting for the first time.
Yeah.
So the Coldplay thing, right? It's magnanimous.
मैं एक चीज़ ऐड करना चाहता हूँ कोल्डप्ले वाले में, बिकॉज मेरे को लगता है कि फॉर मी इट मेड द कॉन्सर्ट व्हाट इट वाज, एंड माय क्वेश्चन इज व्हाई डोंट आई सी मोर ऑफ इट, लाइक द रिस्ट बैंड्स, द चमकीले रिस्ट, क्या बोलते हैं उनको,
लाइक ज़ाइलो बैंड्स.
Dude, it is a game changer, and my question is, why is it not there at every festival?
So Zylo is happening a lot now. Karan Aujla is doing it. I know a bunch of international and music. Diljit
but is it expensive?
Not really. I don't think so. I think it costs. I could be wrong. I think it costs about 25 to 30 rupees. So a lot of this is manufactured in China. So you've got dedicated companies that manufacture it for you, and it's manufactured in bulk. So MOQ is very high. Like it runs into hundreds of thousands of units. That's how the cost comes down.
But it changed the vibe of it, and when particularly you can control it, कि कब कौन सा color होगा वगैरह.
Which I'm saying, the attention to detail is so important in a live event.
Yes.
One is for the artist, right? Keep the artist aside. But as a consumer and a fan, if I'm paying 5,000-10,000 rupees, I want access to a good washroom where it doesn't stink and I'm not standing in pee, right?
Absolutely.
I want to be able to walk inside the venue where it's not a very long walk. I don't want to be frisked by a very grumpy and, egoistic or arrogant security guy. When I go inside, I don't want people to be pushing me, or if I'm with a lady, I want her to be safe. I don't want to be like pushed around. I want my own space. I want access to food. Moreover, I want to be able to see the artist and enjoy the experience, right? All of this comes at a cost. It is either the promoter bears the cost and doesn't charge you the full amount for it and therefore takes a loss. And that loss is so sizable that you can't recover from that.
Crazy.
It's not, when you're doing a show like a Coldplay, वहाँ पर आपको अगर लॉस होगा तो ऐसा नहीं कि आपको 10 लाख 2-3 करोड़ 5 करोड़ का लॉस होगा. in a show like that, if you are taking a loss, it runs into double-digit crores. You don't always make money in a show like this, right? And if you've made money, it's not like that money is going to help you go through the year.
Right.
You know, it's extremes. It's either एकदम ही basic आप profit कमाते हो, or you're screwed in terms of your losses, right? Again, because we're from the industry, we talk to people every day, and I've spoken enough with Ashish and Aman to understand that, hey, I would want one of my artists to play at a stadium in India. How does this work, right? Like, and just in general, how did Coldplay happen?
Yes.
Because it looked unachievable, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then they told me things like this, that like the amount of security, they had multiple safety protocols in place where they have ran simulations on an AI for months, where if there is a threat or an emergency, and if the stadium needs to be evacuated, कौन से ऑडियंस किस सेक्शन में है, वो कौन से एरिया से एग्जिट करेंगे, कौन से रूट से बाहर जाएंगे, कहाँ रुकेंगे, emergency process or emergency vehicles and folks, how will they get inside, and how much time will all of this take. They had international and Indian teams running this on a simulation for weeks and months to figure out, okay, this is the perfect amount of time in which people can come out, and this is how safely people can come out, and we can take care of this problem, be it XYZ, in 1 to 3 time, right? When you're doing shows at that scale, you have to think of so many things.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of people in general in comedy think that it's one phone call, international show, or India ho jata hai. It doesn't work like that. Audiences and fans also, unfortunately, and I see a lot of these polls are not coming out saying, Pani aisa tha, ye infrastructure kharab hai. But it is not, the onus is not always on the promoter or the producer. There has to be infrastructure, like people, and I have been guilty of that, where, you know, when I watched Coldplay for the first time, I flew to Dublin to watch them because I wanted to watch them outside of India. They were like, I think 50,000-60,000 of us. Thousands of us walked in, thousands of us walked out. It took me a total of, and I timed it to see the process from being right under the stage to getting a cab. It took me 7.5 minutes, and the walk was possibly like half a kilometer. There's thousands of people exiting at the same time, right? But it's also because infrastructure exists.
Absolutely.
वहाँ पर there is a line of cabs waiting for you. They're all following a process. There are metros. There are open roads.
Yeah.
There is buses. People know where to go and what direction. I know clearly if I'm staying there, I need to take a left. If I'm staying here, I need to take a right.
Yeah.
And it's not like I know Dublin or I know the streets of Dublin.
Yeah.
I went there for the first time, right? But I knew exactly where to go because there were boards there for tourists saying अगर आप इस street पर रहते हो तो आप ऐसे जाइए.
I want to add 2 things in this because I attended Coldplay at DY Patil and great experience, and I'd seen all those. There were too many guards who were, I think, not from India. Like जो security के लोग थे, मेरे को लगा वो Coldplay वालों के साथ ही आए.
A lot of this was deployed by Book My Show also, because again, these are all your hidden things that a layman who's not from the business will not be able to see or understand. But a lot of these teams are different folks. This is different security team. There's a fire team. There's an evacuation team. There's a quick response team. There's a guest relations team. There's a ticketing team. There's a production, lights, sound, confetti, health services, paramedics. So many teams are involved, right? It takes a village to build something like this. You need like hundreds and thousands of people. Yeah. I think like just security bouncers must have been over like 1,200-1,500, right? You need infrastructure to build all of this. कोई एक इंसान के बस की चीज़ नहीं है ये.
अब बहुत सारे कॉन्सर्ट्स को लेके क्वेश्चन आ रहे हैं, तो मैं आपको बताऊं, जैसे आपको 7.5 मिनट लगे थे डबलिन में लाइक बाहर आने में, राइट? लोलापालूज़ा 2026 कितना 1-1.5 महीना पहले, 26 अभी 20 जनवरी के अराउंड. आपको पता है मेरे को बाहर आने में कितनी देर लगी थी टू गेट अ कैब फ्रॉम द मोमेंट फ्रॉम लाइक द कॉन्सर्ट वेन्यू लिंकन पार्क ख़त्म हुआ बाहर आने में टू गेट अ कैब.
I'm assuming 75 to 90 minutes.
Yes, more than that. 120 minutes. It took me 2 hours. And when we were getting an Uber, every Uber in the area, the guy charged 1,500 more to drop you anywhere. And I'm not kidding. किसी को भी जो भी कैब मिल रही थी, they knew, all Uber people knew something has happened. वो कह रहे थे 1,500 और लगेगा, 1,500 और लगेगा, 1,000 और लगेगा. ये क्या है यार?
Which is where you need the government and private companies to step in to be able to fix this problem. इसलिए मैं बोला था कि ये कोई एक अकेला प्लेटफॉर्म या प्रमोटर नहीं सॉल्व कर सकता. What happens within the venue sure is controlled by the promoter. What happens outside that can't be controlled by the promoter. If Ola, Ubers, Rapidos, whoever are charging higher fares, that the private companies need to solve for.
Yeah.
They need to figure out a mechanism on which this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You know, there has to be some penalization or something. The government needs to figure out what's the best way to deploy public transport. I know Book My Show and District also for large scale concerts have booked local trains and metros, right? Where they tell you that if you take the metro or the local and show us the ticket, you'll get 100 rupees or 50 rupees off on your drink. So they're anyways paying from their pocket to make your life easier.
Yeah, but Lollapalooza में this was also not efficient. They did try to promote this कि आपको ये Aqua Line वाली metro या कुछ मिल जाएगा, but like मैंने बाद में Reddit पे बहुत कुछ पढ़ा था.
It is challenging, right? Whenever I have walked through that entire thing once just to understand how a festival at this scale would work, right? If we were able to do it and what's the experience like. 100% agreed. It's not the best sort of experience, but again, you need infrastructure for that. You need private companies and the government to come together to be able to ये problem हम इसको fix करेंगे. और अगर हम इसको it's one of those things where हमको 100 करोड़ चाहिए fix करने के लिए. अगर आप मुझे 100 करोड़ दे दो fix करने के लिए, I can bring you 2,000-3,000 crore worth of revenue by doing these 40-50 things.
Crazy.
I am talking to international comedians and agents on a weekly basis, right? I have 7 or 8 comics who want to come to India. Like these are your A-listers who sell 30,000-40,000 tickets per city. I am unable to make the right offers to them, which means I am not able to give them the kind of money they make in a 20,000 seater in another part of the world, because I don't have a 20,000 seater in India. I could do it in an open arena, an open air venue, right? But cost of production kills us. Environment, it's not the best way to do a show there. It's just not a good experience for the audience or for the comic. And there is no right sort of weather for me to be able to do an outdoor. Yeah. Right? So if I tell a comedian that you can sell 20,000 tickets, but it'll have to be 5,000 into 4 or a 6,000 into 4, right? The answer is, why do I put 4 times the effort when I can just do one O2 Arena in London or do a Madison Square Garden or one Scotiabank Arena, right? मैं all the way India आऊँ, 4 shows करूँ, उसमें 1/3 पैसा कमाऊँ.
इसलिए तो वो मीम है ना कि जब लोग आर्टिस्ट बोलते हैं हम वर्ल्ड टूर कर रहे हैं, all you see in that is US, Canada and like some parts of Europe.
When you do a large scale event like Lollapaloozas and what district is doing with EA or their hip hop festival, it costs tons of money. And not everything is in the hand of a promoter or a producer. And again, I can say that because I'm a producer and a promoter as well. I've been promoting shows for donkey's years now, right? If an artist suddenly tells you, oh, I now have opened up more days and I can go to another city, you obviously can't say no to that, because you know there is demand. If I don't do it, somebody else will do it, right? So now if I've announced the next city, but now dates have opened and they want to do city Y, you have to make it happen. It's not out of some strategy or purpose it was held back. Nobody does stuff like that. It's stupid for anyone to do or think that way. It doesn't happen like that. But yeah.
Another thing that I am very fascinated as an outsider in the world of live concerts is it's very stupid and but the quality of fireworks जो अच्छे हो जाते हैं जब बाहर का आर्टिस्ट आता है, कि यार हमारे यहाँ तो ऐसी आतिशबाजी होती नहीं, बट जब बाहर का आर्टिस्ट आ रहा है तो कोल्डप्ले में अच्छा होता है ना. आप ओलंपिक्स की एक फायरवर्क्स की क्वालिटी देखते हो, यार इंडिया में मैंने ऐसे फायरवर्क्स कभी क्यों नहीं देखे. एंड देन यू सी लिंकिन पार्क का भी इतना शानदार, कोल्डप्ले, दुआ लिपा, ऑल दीज 3 आई सॉ इन इंडिया, एंड लाइक इट्स पॉसिबल इन इंडिया, बट व्हाई डज इट नॉट हैपन अदरवाइज इन इंडिया?
It's all PNL dependent. One is if it's a part of your rider from the artist, right? Then मुझे तो ये चाहिए ही चाहिए. अब उसमें 2 चीज़ें, मुझे ये चाहिए, you guys figure out at your cost, not my problem. But if an artist says कि मुझे तो ये चाहिए, if it's going to cost you X amount of money more, take it out of my fee. But it has to be an experience that I want for it. it has to be an experience that I want to give to the people, and it has to be good quality, 5-10 minutes, whatever, right? Then it's artist dependent. Or if it's not an artist related show, like a festival, is not always artist dependent. It's artist dependent, but falls under the umbrella of festival, then there's a festival call. I still feel it's good to not do it. The jitna pollution kam karo, utna better. In my opinion, the lesser of these that happen, it's better. But I mean, to answer the question, it's artist dependent or promoter dependent. It primarily boils down to the money and how eco-friendly you want to be.
And another very fascinating live concert का जो setup है, जो मैंने अभी तक reels में देखा है, ये Kanye West का जो setup है, where he's alone in the stadium. आपने देखा उसका वो? It looks banger यार. हाँ, तो वो भी मतलब कितना cool and unique concept है. Like he's just alone on the sand and like everyone watching him. I think people are also not experimenting with the form of live that way. इतना ज़्यादा.
I think it's happening. It'll just take some time to adapt. It's one of those things where you start doing something or you attempt something for the first time. Also, one thing we need to understand is attempting comes with a cost.
Absolutely.
It either comes with you spend a lot more money, so it's a big expense, or it is if you fail in that attempt, then it's a brand problem कि X person tried और वो fail हो गया. टेक खराब हो गया, वो चला ही नहीं, तो एज एन एक्सपीरियंस इट डजंट लुक गुड. सो अटेम्प्टिंग कम्स एट अ प्राइस, राइट? इफ यू आर एट अ लेवल वेर यू कैन अफोर्ड टू मेक दोज अटेम्प्ट्स, ग्रेट. वंस यू अटेम्प्ट इट, इफ इट वर्क्स, then it's about adaptation. Then it depends on the technology that you have in that country.
This is also very important, no? The technology of a particular country.
You need technology to support it, right? For example, the Las Vegas Sphere, massive screen behind you which is larger than God also, I feel. And you've got like these tiny humans who are performing there. And the stage moves in different directions. It can take you 50 feet up, sideways. It's got a lot of that, right? It's an experience. It's been attempted. It's because somebody has money to do it. Right? I again, thanks to Book My Show, I was able to meet the CEO of the company that owns the building. And they took me through a little bit of how they were able to build it. But the millions and millions of dollars that go behind building it and then making sure it's running at the quality at which it's supposed to, right? You need somebody to pump that kind of money. तो एक हो गया कि अटेम्प्ट कर दिया, एक्सपीरियंस और हो गया, बट उस एक्सपीरियंस को आप लेके कैसे आओगे? आप इंडिया लेके आओ, मिडल ईस्ट लेके आओ, इट कम्स एट अ कॉस्ट. नाउ हु इज गोइंग टू बेयर द कॉस्ट? How are you going to maintain it? Do you have demand? Also, do you have enough artists to put in that?
The most impressed I have been by a music festival in India's magnetic fields. I go every year. अभी 2 हफ्ते 10 दिन पहले था इस साल का. It was a new venue in Rajasthan. It's the most premium thing happening in India. Expensive, but totally worth it. Totally worth it. So that is also a thing I really.
But there are certain experiences that you buy and you pay a certain amount of money and it's exclusive in that sense. And then you've got large scale massive concerts where unfortunately a 4,000 or 5,000 rupee ticket comes with its restrictions. It has nothing to do, like, if you buy a 5,000 rupee ticket, you will possibly get services worth 7,000 or 8,000 rupees. But you don't know that it's costing the promoter 8,000. But there is also a limit at which the promoter can spend, right? It's just like economy, business and first on a flight. Your ticket costs you an X amount. Services are being provided worth Y. You don't know what the service is costing because it's being played in volume, right? But it may be profitable, it may not be profitable. It's a service, it exists. वो 19-20 होगा. It is unfortunately going to be like that because you need 10 things to come together. And it's never going to be perfect. It's even if you buy the most expensive ticket, there's going to be a problem in that service. Unfortunately, it is how it is. At no point is anyone ever going to be able to reach perfection. So,
कुल मिला के बात ये comedians पैसा कमा रहे हैं.
I mean, possibly one of the most profitable art forms, I would say.
Currently, right?
It's the least expensive to produce. Like we were discussing, 3 या 4 लोग travel करते हैं, including the artists. So it's a TBL, it's a non-TBL heavy touring party. Your tech and production isn't that massive if you're already going into an auditorium. If you're doing arenas like an IG Stadium or the Subhash Chandra Bose Stadium in Calcutta, or a couple of other venues are that you have to deploy your own tech, super expensive, runs into a couple of crores. But otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. Cost of production is not that high. The revenue is fairly strong in this point in time. Your average ticket prices for someone who sells even 200-300 tickets is at a $799. Someone who sells anywhere 1,000 and above is averaging like 1,100 to 1,200. Zakir's, Samay's, Basis of the world are averaging much higher, right?
Yeah.
Zakir is averaging at about 3,000 per ticket now, which 4 years ago was unheard of.
Yeah.
When I used to produce this IP there's an IP called All Stars and Headliners that I co-built at OML. Back in 2017, we eventually sold it to Nodwin. But there I used to, under Headliners, I used to program about 5 or 6 comedians. You would have like 2 Cat A, Cat B, Cat C and Cat D. And we used to do venues like Shanmukhananda, right? That used to be a 2-hour long show, 2,600 odd people say in a Shanmukhananda. You would have like comedians who could sell 50 tickets, 2 comedians who could sell 1,000 tickets, mixed bag, everybody performs for 20 minutes, right? That used to be your peak ultimate lineup, like the best of the best used to be there. Wahan par bhi my highest ticket price used to be like $1,500. This is 2018-ish odd, right? Tabhi mera peak 1,500 hota tha. Today my ATP is at 2,500.
और ये किसने सबसे पहले डिसाइड किया कि प्राइस ये कर लेते हैं? हाउ डज इट गेट डिसाइडेड कि समय बसी या जाकिर भाई ने जब डिसाइड किया वो यार और ऊपर लेके जाते हैं? कौन डिसाइड करता है?
Good part about it's also funny, but when you start doing something, there is no science to back it. You know, I was talking to somebody just today and we're like, could we have priced tickets at a higher amount for some artists, right? And हमें वो तो attempt करके ही मालूम पड़ेगा ना. I don't have any data to prove. Like, how do I prove that I could have priced something 10% more and it would have sold? Now what we have proved is हमने जो currently बेचा है वो foundation आपका हो गया set.
बट मान लो कोई आर्टिस्ट इंडिया टूर में लाइक ही इज डूइंग एन इंडिया टूर तो और उसके पहले 3-4 लाइक सिटीज में हाउसफुल हो गए, सो कैन दैट आर्टिस्ट इन द मिडिल ऑफ द टूर इंक्रीज द प्राइस ऑफ
100%.
Oh, they can.
Also, a lot of the shows that we do right now, or what other producers also do, tickets are priced as in phases. So you'll have like an early bird or a phase 1, which is say 1,000 rupees. Based on the scale and the pace at which tickets are selling, you quickly bump it up to 1,200, 1,400, 1,500. So it's dynamic pricing, which I personally love. I love that ticketing model, which I've also been speaking a lot to folks at Ticketmaster and Live Nation and others to figure out how they price tickets, right? And it's something that we experimented a lot in Zakir's shows. And now that's the new standard that we follow for Zakir's. It's like airline tickets. For example, if you've bought row A1 for 2,000 rupees, the person who's bought and the seat next to you could have paid 5,000 for it and you've paid 2,000 for it. Only because there was an increase in demand and tickets started moving very quickly. So we kept bumping up ticket prices. For Zakir specifically, we do a lot of that. It's also to just tell the world that if you want to buy tickets for his shows, buy them on time, because the earlier you buy, the cheaper you will get. And you will get the better seats. For example, a lot of his shows, there could be someone who's paid, and we do that a lot in our international shows also, which is the front row ticket would have cost you 5,000 rupees, the front seat, the front row. But if you bought the tickets to the show, say 1 week prior to the show being happened, the last seat would also cost you 5,000.
Crazy.
So it's just pure dynamic pricing that airlines do. Like all airlines do the same thing, right? The catch, however, is we don't downgrade our ticket price because that's unfair. So अगर मैंने 2,000 पे चालू किया है और मेरी टिकट नहीं बिक रही है और लोगों ने 2,000 पे खरीद ली है एंड आई एम नॉट एबल टू सेल टिकट्स, इट्स फाइन, वील अर्न व्हाट वी डिजर्व, बट टिकट प्राइसेस डोंट गो बिलो दैट. इफ देयर इज अ थ्रेशोल्ड वन, इट्स अ थ्रेशोल्ड वन. Then the phase 1 doesn't go to phase 0.
Fair.
But it goes 1, 2, 3, 4 ahead, right?
So what's the phase 1 for the top comedians in India right now? कि minimum इतना तो है ही.
The ATP for that is about, not even ATP. Phase 1 straight up is 999.
And what does ATP mean here?
Average ticket price. So ये average ticket price नहीं है. ये phase 1 का actual price.
Average ticket price तो higher होगा.
Higher होगा. Phase 1 starts from 999, but this is the seats right at the back. your front seats would start from about 2,500 rupees and they go up to about 5,000-6,000. The 999 ticket would possibly go up to about 1,299. But this is across genres now. Like you see in music or Rishabh Ram or whoever, right? Everyone has moved to phase and dynamic ticket pricing. And I think that works best because true fans actually get the cheapest and the best seats. But if you're the FOMO plus one, mujhe jana hai, for whatever reason, then you're actually paying higher. It also helps the economy and us to strategize, right? अगर मुझे पता है कि ये शो बिकने वाला है, जितना जल्दी बिकेगा उतना मैं जल्दी सेकंड शो ऐड कर सकता हूँ.
Crazy.
Or I can add more days for people to choose from. Like one of the things that I did with a lot of the comedians from India, which earlier I used to get a lot of resistance from comics. I used to tell them that go to Soho Theatre in London. They have a beautiful 149-seater. Usually comedians would go to an international city, do a 300-500 seater, एक रात पैसा कमाओ घर आ जाओ और move on to another one, right? For specific comics who want to keep doing better at their comedy and they want to keep tweaking their content, they want to see international city में अगर मैं content थोड़ा 19-20 change करूँ या structure change करूँ comedy का, words या jokes change करूँ, punchline change करूँ, तो how will it affect in an international market, right? For them and for the ones who actually want to build an audience and a community. For them, like Rohan Joshi, Suhani, Uruj used to do it, Biswa did it, practically everybody that Anirban, name them, most of them, right? I started telling them that instead of doing one 500-seater on one night, let's do a Monday to Saturday. You'll make the same amount of money.
Okay.
The only difference is you're performing for 5-6 nights straight. I understand it's a lot more effort, but you'll enjoy your comedy. This is only if you want to sort of try new sets, do more tech.
Yeah.
Abhishek Nirmal, we kept changing their light and tech every day with every show. They change the structure of their jokes every day.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, Rishabh, let's try. Because उसका तुमको fringe भी जाना था. So like, ठीक है Rishabh, let's try this. We'll find a rhythm and then I'll implement that at Fringe. And what happens is when you do 5 nights a row, right? As an audience member, I can choose between Monday to Saturday मुझे कौन सा शो देखना है. समझो आपने Saturday को सिर्फ एक शो डाल दिया. अब मैं Saturday को हूँ नहीं तो I can't watch you. I have lost your money as an audience member. As an artist, I have lost your money. Now you're not going to come and watch me. When you will not watch me, you will not bring in a plus one. Or you will not bring in a new person who could have I could have converted to becoming a fan, right? But now when I do Monday to Saturday, 100% audience is going to come and watch me, or not 100 but whatever. 500 की जगह मैं 650 टिकट बेचूंगा. I can write that on a stamp paper. Instead of that one night 500 tickets, you will 100% sell 650 or a higher number of tickets if you do that week long run. You will get to experiment with your set. You will get on the rhythm of your show. You will enjoy your show. You get to chill. It's a 1 week break for you also. You're in London, you're in Soho. Chill, enjoy yourself, grab a coffee. It's a nice experience, right? There is no harm in doing a one night show only. If your aim is, I'm good with what I'm doing. I don't want, it's not a purist way, but I don't want to be in the zone of a purist comic, or I don't want to sort of try and experiment. Absolutely fine. City, go back home. Absolutely fine, right? But if you want to actually build an audience, build a community, get more fans to come watch you, then there are these strategic things that you've got to do. It can't just, it doesn't happen overnight. And everybody does. I mean, Rohan, Zakir, Rahul Subramanian, Uruj, Prashasti, Suhani, Abhishek Nirmal, Biswa, everyone has done it with us. And it helps.
Okay. I am also very interested. अब मैं थोड़ा आपको वो करना चाहता हूँ, interject. How much does the Times Square thing cost you?
So Times Square barely costed us anything.
How? आपकी barely की definition भी तो अलग होगी. What's barely?
This was a lot of Ankur's जुगाड़. Okay, where Ankur Kaushik we did that whole shebang, right, of trying to get permissions, and we paid our whatever insurance and other things that we were to sort it. We sorted that out, and that cost us a little bit of money. But then this is just pure play genius and jugaad of Ankur Kaushik, where Ankur Kaushik has walked up at Times Square, and in the middle of Times Square there are these photo booths that are there that take 360 cameras. So it's a barricaded area already. उस barricaded area के अंदर एक छोटा सा stage बनाया है where you've got these folks where you give them $50 for 10 minutes and you there's a music that plays and pictures come, you can stand on that stage, do whatever you want. Ankur has gone to these boys who run that shop and he like, how much do you charge per 15 minutes? And he said $50. Ankur's like, here is $500. Okay, for 1 hour you're mine. I'm paying you 2 times. For 1 hour, this stage area is mine. Nobody comes here. Okay, I will bring in one comedian. Okay, he will come stand on the stage and we'll interact, say hi, hello to people. We'll click photos. I don't want to do anything. Just give me your space. So that guy like, dude, paying me double, of course. And we figured out boundaries. We figured out security. We figured out everything. The cost of renting the billboard, which is where the New York, the New Year's Eve ball drop happens, that cost us a significant amount of money in comparison to a 10-15 minute rental. It was obviously very expensive, but worth it, right? Again, like Zakir kept saying, hey, समझो मेरी 12 और शादी उड़ाओ.
Crazy.
Right? So that costed us a fair amount of money, but the actual cost of doing this was nothing. Like this was just pure grit saying, please, we'll do this, we'll make it happen. What can we do to help? And wherever little money was needed, little money was given. And like for example, we had a security nightmare at the Times Square. We had these 5,000-6,000 people, and Ankur had already. So the way Ankur and I divide our work is that we're team 1 and 2. So one team advances, the other team stays back to close out with Zakir, right? So we divide and conquer like that. And then you've got Devashri also, who's always with Zakir she's at OML and works on Zakir's team as well.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Rockstar she is.
Yeah.
So she's always with Zakir, making sure that trains are running on time. So Ankur was team 1, so he already left to Times Square. He set everything up. I am with Zakir at Madison Square Garden and with Prerna, etc. And we're doing thank yous, congratulations, love you guys. There's Hassan, there's everyone, so all of that champagne is happening, emotions are running high. And we've left. Ankur calls me. When Ankur calls me, we're on our way there. And Ankur is like, भाई ये जो 6 सिक्योरिटी वालों को हमने बुलाया था, ये तो कॉलेज के इंटर्न्स हैं. I'm like, what do you mean? He like, dude, these are actual college kids who've showed up. And I'm like, but aren't we paying them like some $1,000-$2,000? He's like, yeah, but they are kids. I'm like, okay, I don't know how we're going to get Zakir, but it's fine. We'll figure we're enough because there's Jacob from UTA, there's our producers, friends, crew, all of that was there, right? So like, we'll figure. Ankur being Ankur, right? To the same guy who rented out that space to us, goes to him and he's like, and this guy's like built, okay? He's like, hey, these other 7-8 guys who look, exactly like you, hatta katta, who are they? These are my brothers, they're all my cousins. Ankur like, do you want to make more money? He said, of course I want to make more money. उसने लाइन में सबको खड़ा करके $50 और दिया है. तुम मेरी सिक्योरिटी टीम अभी और तुम अब ये करोगे. That was our cost. That's it. These are last minute, like I keep saying, right? No matter how much you plan, it's going to happen. You're never going to get everything right. It's all about attempting. We kept attempting. Whatever came our way, we solved. या तो बात करके, contact, money, whatever, right? Barter, but it all happened.
Anything and all, Vinayak, you guys want to ask?
Since you've done a lot of international shows, earlier, like I'm assuming a lot of Indian diaspora would only be coming to watch Indian comedians. So how has that changed over the years? Like when you are doing a Madison Square Garden with Zakir, how much of the crowd is Indian diaspora and how much is it like people from the US watching these shows?
So different artists, different audiences, right? For example, again, it all ties back to strategy and community building and how you want to build it. If you're an artist that actually wants to break through globally, and if you perform in English, it's a little more easier because then you can talk to a much larger audience, right? When Anirban started, when he did his first Fringe festival, I think about 10 to 12% of the audience was non-Indians, right? In the second run, there were at least 4 or 5 shows where about 85-90% were non-Indians.
Wow.
Like these are non-Indians who have like foreigners who showed up who only speak, who speak English, who don't speak Hindi as a language, 90% of the audience is filled with them. Barely 5 to 10% had like South Asians or Indians, right? It depends on you keep going back and you keep building an audience. Suhani, for example, 100% of our audience is non-Indians. You got people from Japan and Russia, UK, US. Our audience is a mixed bag, right? Now, if you're an artist like a Zakir, who primarily performs in Hindi, right? Obviously, you're not talking to the entire world. You're talking to an audience that speaks or understands Hindi, which means you're speaking to Indians, Pakistanis, Bangladeshis, Sri Lankans to an extent. So, anyone who understands the language, you're speaking with them. At Madison Square Garden also was no different. We had a mixed bag of folks that sort of showed up from every country. There was a few number of people who also traveled from different parts of the world. We had some people who flew in from the UK. We had some people who came from Australia, India as well, right? I would say about 60, 70 people who we are aware of, who sort of walked up to us and told us, I'm from this country, I've come, to just be a part of this historic moment. So we've had people from there, but again, it depends on the language you perform in and your aim. Based on your aim in life, you sort of have to you have to sort of rework the strategy and structure it in a way where, okay, by doing A, B, C, D, you will get to a point where, we will have X number of non-Indians in the audience, or you will have a global audience who's buying tickets for your shows. It all boils down to who the artist is, what they want to achieve in life, and how you can structure it. It's not as easy as pick up the phone, call a show theater, and things happen magically.
Yeah.
No, there is a way to do it.
Yeah. You had another question?
Yeah. So in India, YouTube has been a big part of like every comedian's life. Like in the West, people became used to the idea of putting their comedy on YouTube later, but in India, it was from a very recent stage. Right now, a lot of comedians are putting their entire specials on YouTube. Like Abhishek Upani put a special, and there are a lot of comedians. Kanan is, I think, also putting a special.
Samays will also come on YouTube.
Samays special might also come on YouTube. So, what do you see as the future of YouTube, particularly in regards to comedy, and where do you think it's going to go?
To be honest, I love a free platform. It's a no strings attached platform. There is no obligation for anybody to pay or sort of watch, right? YouTube as a platform, I think, is one of the most powerful sort of tools and search engines that exist. Because of YouTube, practically comedy in India exists because of the push that YouTube sort of as a platform gave. A lot of the OTTs helped a lot financially, and you can't take away from that, right?
Absolutely.
We were the first ones at OML to be able to sign an OTT deal ever in India, and that too for comedy, right? I think it was like some 12, 15, and then like OML has produced over, I think, 80, 90 comedy specials in India across Netflix and Amazon, possibly one of the largest in the world. Sure, it pays your bills, it's great money, but to be able to reach the masses, YouTube is the best platform. You get access to every tier and category of audience that exists in the country, right? There'll be some people who just watch you but will never buy a ticket to watch your show, because that's not something they want to do, right? So it technically just depends on how you can convert them eventually. But YouTube has been the strongest discovery platform. YouTube will continue to be the strongest discovery platform. I would always bank and put my money on YouTube. And again, I've been lucky to speak to Niharika at YouTube and Asta at YouTube. And with everything that they're doing in terms of building comedy and pushing conversations around comedy, viewership, how to build audience, how to build pay-per-view. They're trying to build a lot of these things to make sure that there is a more substantial amount of revenue that can flow in, not just through AdSense, but also other means. And for comedians and producers to sort of upload a lot more content on YouTube. They're doing a lot in that space. So I think YouTube, for me, YouTube has always been the winner, and I think will continue to sort of build scale.
Thank you so much, Rishabh.
No, of course.
Did you enjoy the conversation?
This is my first podcast. So
of your life?
Yeah, like a proper podcast. This is the first one. I've done a couple of audio podcasts, but
Did you have fun?
Yeah, I absolutely enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
No, of course.
This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely cool.